welcome to the Halloween special of the computer game show. Boo! It's
Don't do that.
David Turner. Okay, sorry. David Turner here. Matt Murray's over there. Sean Bell.
I can't think. There's no other scary noises.
Just do
That's
that
it,
again.
Do that one then.
You want what? You want to go like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's James Farley.
I'm not doing that.
Just say hello then.
Hello.
Ooh, that was the scariest of all of them.
Freaky.
Right, okay. Should we get straight back onto feedback from last week's show?
I mean, do you already know? Did you listen to last week's show?
Yeah, I've got you.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, no, I've got my notes. Should we go through my notes?
Well, why not we?
I mean, if you've not heard the show before, if this is your first time listening, if one of us takes a week off, then we take notes and report back the week after. Two of us were off last week.
Take a week off, then oh my god.
If two of us have taken a week off, we've been texting each other about our notes throughout the week. First of all, I'll get this bit out of the way. Good show, well done. You got through it. You did well. I was happy with the outcome. Yeah, enjoyable listen. But there is a few things, and I'm not going to go crazy because I'm not allowed to do that anymore. You've made that clear. I have got
We've done anything wrong. We've done nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong for you to go crazy over.
I've got to say, James, you didn't do much wrong. Matt, I don't know what happened to you last week.
What did I do wrong?
I mean, you spoke a lot of shit on the podcast. Like, just flat out lies at times.
Like what?
Well, okay, let me give you an example. And this wasn't on the show. This wasn't on the show, but because I thought it began and ended on the show. But in the week, I got sent a copy of the Mario Encyclopedia. And in that book, I took a photo of, oh, look, it's Mario, and this is what Mario's like, and this is what Super Mario's like after he's eaten his mushroom. So I took a photo of it and tweeted it and said, oh, look, I was right. And then you went crazy and started going, well, I expect an apology then. I was correct. And I was like, Matt, if you weren't wrong, which I thought you were, maybe I was on your side then, because I definitely said he's Mario and then becomes Super Mario when he eats a mushroom. And you were like, nope, that was what I said.
We said when he's got his hat on.
Yeah, no, but then we corrected that, didn't we? Because we said, no, on the older games, he has always got his hat on. My point was that when he's normal Mario, he's Mario, and then he becomes Super when he eats the mushroom.
My point was that his name is Mario, it's not Super Mario. And I think the book proves that.
But this book says it's wrong.
Well, no,
that you call him Super Mario after he becomes Super Mario. But then on Twitter, you were going, see, I was right, look. So what happened then? Did you just forget your point of the argument?
No.
And then
my point of the argument was, his name is Mario, and you're like, no, it's Super Mario. And I was like, well, no, his name is Mario.
That's not the argument at all. I would say go back and listen, but suspiciously, that one episode where we discuss it cuts out halfway through.
I can't believe that.
You are kidding.
Yeah, but I can. Shocking.
Well, you thought, I've either gone back or I never uploaded the entire episode in case that book ever came out.
Happened. That's almost certainly what's happened. And
definitely,
you got proved wrong, and then you just changed history. You've just changed history. Did you go back and listen to it on YouTube? Because the full thing's on YouTube.
I did, yes.
And then you realised that you were wrong.
No, because
unbelievable.
The argument isn't. Your argument was his name's Super Mario. I was like, no, it's just Mario. That's it. His name is officially Mario.
Was that
as James kept saying during the show, it's Mario.
Yeah, but my argument was that he becomes Super Mario, and you said, no, Super's got nothing to do with what he's called. It's the title of the game.
You were saying that his name is actually Super Mario, but basically his name is Mario, but he becomes Super.
No, I didn't, Matt. Or listeners, go back. Episode 20, I think it is.
Yeah,
on
but
YouTube.
It's only available on our YouTube channel, so go in and subscribe.
The week after, I think Sean put me right about the hat stuff. Right, because I forgot in the older games that he always had his hat on. But my point was clear. When he's little Mario, he's called Mario, and then he becomes Super Mario. Matt, you're insane. Anyway, let's get on to last week's show, right?
For fuck's sake.
So here are my notes. Matt's idea for premium podcasts.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Right, okay. So there's two sides of the idea, right?
I went through both last week.
There's the idea that we do premium premium podcasts, and then there's the idea of what we can produce that we feel comfortable with classing as a premium podcast, right? So I come up with the idea of doing this, doing our Game of the Year show, but for different consoles or games on that console and stuff like this.
Agreed.
You're claiming the whole idea because you saw the service on Podbean and let us know that it was on Podbean. So now you're claiming that as your idea.
I was just saying how an idea would be we could do premium episodes. And
where did you get that idea from?
I don't know. It wasn't Podbean specifically.
Yes, it was.
Because it was after we joined Podbean. The idea came from?
Matt, it wasn't. That's not an idea. That's not an idea.
It was a suggestion, but it was myself who brought it up first, is what I was just confirming and clarifying.
That's like you going, YouTube's a service. Okay, well, why don't we do this, and this on YouTube? Oh, yeah, it's a really good idea. No, it was my idea because I said that YouTube was a service.
It was a suggestion.
That doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So that was crazy, right? That was the first thing. I've got some more here.
Oh, please.
I never said we all walked around being incredibly jaded. That wasn't what I said.
If you listen back to the episodes, it's like we all walking around incredibly jaded.
I don't remember that, Matt.
That's a quote.
Episodes.
Right, but the craziest thing that whole section is when you said, I never had a go about people queuing up for different games. Matt, that was like your main thing that weekend. You kept banging on about people queuing up for Fortnite, and the thing is, I don't understand.
Kidding? Like me, the Fortnite liker. Why would I be saying I can't believe those guys are queuing for Fortnite?
Sean, am I misremembering this?
No, I've got this in my notes as well. But Matt was definitely baffled at people queuing for Fortnite.
Yeah, and not only that, right? We've got countless hours. I went back and listened to some old podcasts just randomly today because I had nothing else to listen to. And Matt was on the show taking the piss out of people queuing up for FIFA at these events. So yeah, I don't understand why you're suddenly going... I mean, it's on. If you watch the start of our Red show, Matt has a go about people queuing up for FIFA.
I don't think I'm having a go, am I?
Yeah!
Okay, next point.
But how have you gone from I don't think I was having a go to I've never said that in my life? I didn't say that whole weekend.
I don't think I was having a go. Well, what's your next point?
All weekend you were cute, right? James, this isn't a pop, but Golf Story actually is a pop. Precision mode is explained right at the start and is a major mechanic of the game.
Well, if that's the case, how is it I managed to get right through to the end without even having to bother using it if it's a major
Because
mechanic?
You almost definitely skipped most of the dialogue during the tutorial.
I did not. It's because they introduce it and then you don't really have to use it again. I've got the internet on my side with this.
Every time you putt. You need that
not
precision
James.
mode.
James is chipping every time he puts.
Exactly. See, I've got the internet on my side with this because I've been looking this up and tons of people have said exactly the same thing. It's
precision mode or the I'd agree if you were talking about the special shots, but the precision mode is like it's a basic mechanic that's explained right at the start. But anyway, okay,
yeah, exactly.
Right,
explained right at the start, but then they never discuss it again, or you never have to use it again. I mean, if it's so
use
vital,
it all the time.
If you use it all the time, if you use it all the time, how did I get right to the end of the game without using it?
I don't know. You clearly missed it, so that's just the way it goes, right? But that's all I had to point out, that was definitely a big part of how I played every single shot in that game.
Well, I didn't.
Okay, right, fine. Matt, give me one thing that you've recommended that I refused to take note of and then went on to love.
I can't remember.
Oh, it's funny because you say it happens all the time.
League?
What?
Yes. If you go back, I was like, you got down this PS Plus game and you like, oh, everyone, I think it's maybe in our WhatsApp group, like, Matt keeps trying to get me to download the football kart game.
Matt, I downloaded it day one,
yeah, okay. I'm trying to think of another example. I don't think I recommended it.
Trying to think of a correct example.
So, okay, all right. So this happens all the time, but you can't give an example. Let's put that to one side. Let's put that to one side.
Now, so it doesn't happen.
Let's say that I do it all the time, right? And I do ignore it. The reason why I do that, Matt, is because everything's amazing to you for about an hour, and then you move on. So what you need to do is leave like a.
He's got a point.
You need to leave a week.
New leaf this year.
No, you need to leave a week of grace, and then go, Matt, you still into that thing? Okay, now I might check it out. David! David, you've got... Come on, sign up for this new service. I mean, the amount of social media accounts that I've got of things that never went anywhere.
Look, Google Buzz was good.
And then I've put, this is the last note. Sean's probably got more. Also, Matt, why do you keep having a pop at Sean at dropping out at late notice when you did the same a week or two ago?
Well, so this was my first point. So last week, I wasn't able to be on the show because I was in bed, shivering like fuck and feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. But I had been punched in the stomach. I was actually getting stabbed in the back by you two. Sean can't be fucking bothered to turn up. He's only given us an hour's notice.
Worth the wait.
Because So for the listeners, I told everyone as soon as I got home from work, I was like, right, I've come home from work early. I've fucking taken a load of Barocca, which I've since found out does literally nothing. But hey ho, I was like, I'm going for a sleep.
Isn't it just vitamin C?
It's vitamin B, yeah, in various forms, all of which you just piss out again. And then on the show it was all, you only gave us an hour's notice, and there was something. There was a tweet from one of the listeners that was like, oh yeah, Sean can't fucking be bothered showing up if Dave's not there. Like, fuck's sake.
I mean, that did run through my mind. I think, like, a part of me was thinking, I wonder if Sean's ill or he can smell a stinker.
This is it.
Yeah, I think on Discord, I think someone said, like, as Sean can't be asked to record him, it's just Matt and James. I wonder how much you'll see him in 2019.
Wait, hold on. Right. So, Matt, Sean gave more notice than you did 2 weeks prior.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, I admit that. Yeah,
and how did we treat your... Oh, no, we were really sensitive, weren't we? And just, yeah.
Okay, on that occasion.
There was some others. What was your other notes? Is there anything I haven't covered?
I was just going to say, Matt, you mentioned that if James couldn't do it, you'd have just phoned a mate and done the show. Don't do that, please.
This is right, okay.
I can't believe more people didn't pick me up on that, to be fair.
I thought the same. Matt, this sums you up, mate. It's not about the numbers, okay? It's about putting on a decent show. I think there needs to be a rule.
It's about the listeners.
What are you talking about?
Well, I just think if I listen to a show every week and they're like, oh, sorry, 2 people couldn't make it, I'm like, well, find some other people to make up the numbers and get a show out.
I would know. Because what is that show going to be like?
I'm completely with you on this, Dave. I didn't want to do last week at all.
James, don't want to do it any week.
At least I fucking wanted to be there. I was just physically incapable of it.
It's true. I mean, I was quite excited when I got that text from Sean. Sorry, Sean. Because now I'm not going to have to do it this week, and I was quite excited about that. I'd already planned out what I was going to do that evening. You know, I was just thinking...
as soon as Dad isn't here, aka Dave, like, oh, brilliant, I can get away with it now. Like, I'm not so fussed. No, I think it's important to get a show out there.
I mean, I agree. I think if there's 2 of you, definitely still do a show. If there's 1, probably not. But if there's 2, yeah, I get it. Right? Don't ring up a mate. Like, that is just...
I mean, I didn't actually get to that point, obviously, because I had James, thankfully. But I just really do not want to miss an episode just because a couple of us are ill or busy or whatever.
Matt, if 3 of us are ill, like, if there's just you, it's better to have no episode than you and a mate. Like, it's just, that is just the ultimate fuck you to the listeners.
I'll find... Okay, we'll cross that bridge next year.
Well, I mean, next year, do what you want, but I mean, Jesus.
Anything else, Sean?
The only other bit was I should point out, it was a good show. I'm just being a dick. The telephone bit. I know you were hoping for a repeat of the fly incident. I didn't feel it worked quite as well.
It didn't. It was... I mean,
at the time, I was like, oh, thank God.
Hello? Yeah, I'll go and get them. Okay, bye. Please don't put that in. Okay, I won't. I was kind of like, okay, where's the punchline?
You should have been more liberal with beeping stuff out so that it sounded like he was just berating someone over the phone.
Yeah, you are. I should have done that. Oh well. I mean, we needed all the help we can get, and I think it went alright considering.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was a good show. I'm not gonna go do my whole crazy man act. But you were talking a lot of shit throughout that. But some of the stuff, I was like, we've got evidence against this. Like, why is he even trying to hide the fact that he was walking around the expo with his nose in the air, laughing at people that were queuing for? Like, it's unbelievable.
The Fortnite thing, there's no way I said that. Like, because I was thinking I might go off and play Fortnite.
Matt.
On the thought, why would I possibly say I can't believe people queuing up? Maybe I don't.
You did. You were the first one to say it. You were the first one to say it.
I wasn't saying it in like a snotty way.
Oh, you were. We all were. Like, just accept it. We. It's not that we were jaded, right? I still get excited about walking around the expo. I do. Right, but I was going around and questioning what people were queuing up for, and that's what I was. That's the point that I was saying. I was kind of like, do you know what? Just let them do what they want to do. If that's what they want to do, then
no, it's,
why
it's
get
not
arsy
jaded
about it?
to wonder why people are queuing up to play a game that they can play for free at home on basically any device.
It's true. Some things are questionable. It's just you
Yeah.
know, like why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But then they might do that because it's the buzz of being around other Fortnite players.
Yeah, like
and
maybe
they're
they're
all
with their
together
mates
rather than
and-
just being
yeah,
in
I
the front
don't know.
room or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it's fun. Like whatever. That's my point.
Yeah.
Matt, you are lying. The greatest. I mean, that was insane. That was the bit that stood out the most, I think, because I was just like, this is just not true. This bit. But okay.
Anyway, should we go on to real follow-up now?
Let's get on to real follow-up.
This is Ben Watts, who emailed in. I will miss Dave when he goes at the end of the year, but just wanted to say, without him this week, Matt and James did a fantastic job. After being pretty nervous about the state of my favourite podcast, post 2018, I assume he's talking about us. It's very reassuring to listen to this week's podcast. Bring on 2019, although we'll still miss you, Dave.
Cheers, man.
What's that?
I said thanks.
Yeah, Adam Ware at Slingshot TV2. Feedback: it's like watching the episode of Red Dwarf White Hole where they were both standing on the edge of a rip in time and experiencing time dilation in an incredibly confused, incredibly condensed space. Matt talking at 10 times speed and James talking at 0.1 speed. But I still enjoyed it. I was talking so quick last week. I was like, what would happen to the editing if I slowed mine down slightly in the edit?
Like a normal person.
I wasn't aware that I was speaking really slowly, or maybe it was just by comparison to Matt.
I think,
it
it's just
sounded
comparison,
slow.
yeah. I was thinking, God, I think I would like to slow myself down somehow, but it would probably fuck the edit up, so I didn't. But
I'll be honest, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even pick up on that.
It was ridiculous. I mean, I listened to it again and I had to fast forward bits. It's embarrassing.
It really doesn't bother me. Like, a few people have mentioned the speed that you speak.
People have
and
always
it's
done
never
that,
bothered me.
All my life. And my parents talk ridiculously quick as well. It's just quick talkers.
Right. I think it's a skill. I think it's a superpower more than
that was interesting. I don't know. I exhaled. Steve Garrett at Steve Garrett 75. Just listening, and is Matt really arguing that he wants to be known as the man behind the introduction of microtransactions to our TCGS experience? No, I don't want to be known as the man to do that, but just had to clarify the situation. Dave, with regards to this week's question related to China, can we please have a James China special? I'd love to hear more about his experiences.
Every time he talks about China, we
what
get
did you
those.
guys think about that? I thought it was a great little section.
I think it was a great little section. I think James, we've spoken about China off air a lot, and it's always very interesting. But I mean, a special section of the show dedicated to it. No, thank you.
I would not be up for that anyway, so it's fine.
Win-win.
On last week's show, someone, I think it's actually SMW, emailed in asking which Microsoft franchise would be good for them to bring back out again. SMW emails back saying, I'm thinking you guys might think of Brute Force instead of you mentioning Brink.
He was,
Brute Force was sold as a Halo
that.
killer at the time, but failed to take off.
I was screaming that at my podcast player when I heard that. I was like, what did you say was Brink? I was like, how can it be Brink? Like, no, it's Brute Force. You're talking
I knew it began
about
with
Brute
B, I just
Force.
couldn't remember which one it was.
That game stays in my memory because the week that it come out, the day it come out, we bought it, all went round a friend's house. There was 4 of us, and I think it took us about 3 hours to complete.
Yeah.
And we were like, yeah, no, this isn't Halo at all, is it? No, it's not. I think he took it back the next day and got his money back.
But I do remember Brink having massive queues at an early EGX.
Yeah, Brink was
Brink?
going to be huge, and then it came out and was a complete turd, unfortunately.
Was that the one where all the environments deform or something?
No, you're talking about Fracture.
No, okay.
Yeah. No, the hook with Brink, well, it had 2 things. It had really good free running controls, which were actually great. And then it had this thing where it dynamically figured out what roles your team was missing. So you could bring up this wheel and it's like, oh, if one of you changed to a demolitions guy and blew this wall open, that'd be really beneficial. So you get bonus XP for doing it. So it was constantly encouraging you to switch your roles and do different things, and that was really smart, but it was just horrible to play, unfortunately.
Shame.
Yeah.
It's the one game that's really funny whenever you go, when Poundland said, oh, we're going to sell games now for £1. Do you remember that announcement?
Yeah.
Have you been into a Poundland since?
No.
It's just copies of Brink. Like, I mean, hundreds. And I nearly took a photo of it the other day. I looked on the shelf, and it was just hundreds of copies of Brink.
And FIFA.
Shame. And FIFA, but mostly Brink.
Jazz Pancake actually says, "Hey guys, what's happening over there? How can you have a conversation about resurrecting Microsoft properties without mentioning Voodoo Vince?"
Yes.
Don't even remember Voodoo Vince.
Voodoo Vince. My only experience of Voodoo Vince is it came on like a demo disc that came with something else. And I remember playing, like, this was like a few years after it had come out. And I remember playing the demo and just being like, this is fucking good. And it had like really nice art style and stuff. And I just couldn't believe it wasn't more well known. I actually got a copy of it, but nothing to play it on.
Isn't that the saddest story? I own the game, but not the console. Actually, it's worse. I remember when I imported the DS, I think, the original DS, and you had to order the console and the games separately, and the games didn't turn up for like a week or two after the console arrived, so you literally just had a console with nothing to do on it other than Picto Chat.
Look at the menus.
Because we'd import from Japan, no other fucker had a DS. Like, it was depressing.
That's it for follow-up. We had some people commenting about their life. I liked our Life is Strange episode. That's still out there if you're playing Life is Strange Series 2, Episode 1. So get on that.
I can't believe
there's a massive conversation in Discord about games magazines and Maximum magazine, which I haven't seen the covers. I still don't recognise. But by God, they're nice. That's it for follow-up.
I love it when you talk about games magazines, because I was into them as well as a kid, and I've spoken about how PSM 2 was like a huge inspiration for me when it came to like starting up a podcast. Like, I love the way they spoke about games, because I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. There's a few of them on YouTube that you can watch where they used to have a DVD that came with it. So it wasn't a demo disc, it was a DVD. DVD came with it, and it had the game trailers, but then it also had, like, if you press the audio button, remember that? If you press the audio button, it would have the staff talking about the game, and some of the clips was so funny. I remember Frogger 3D being a like really, really funny one. And it was, they used to say stuff that you definitely shouldn't have been saying, like, to kids. It was just amazing, and it was, I loved that stuff. And I remember going to a supermarket and like forcing my parents to buy me yet another video game magazine. It was the best times.
I was glad that James mentioned Total as well, because I used to read Total a lot.
Yeah, that's one of those ones. I always feel that is one of those magazines that everyone seems to have forgotten existed, which I think is kind of a shame.
And everyone else forgets that fucking Danny Wallace used to write for it.
Well, it's also Frank O'Connor as well that ended up with Bungie. He was the editor for quite a long time.
Did not know that. No, because I remember like a couple of years back, I found some old issues that I had kicking around, and it was this issue where it's like, it's the new boy Danny, and they always had they had those sort of caricature like drawings of all the staff, and I was like, that's a very young Danny Wallace off the TV of Yes Man fame and all the rest of it. And there was like a little skit where they made him go on a Virtual Boy and they covered it in shoe polish, so he had black marks all over his face when he went. Shit like that.
Yeah. You sure you weren't reading the B note? I will say this. Interesting news this week that's popped up on various forums and stuff. There's a new magazine launching. Yeah. Like an actual paper magazine launching. Yeah. It's not half.
Good luck
they may have... Well, it's fortnightly as well, which is... I'm really interested to see what happens with this. But what's the name of the magazine,
It's called Wireframe Magazine. And
Wireframe.
If you go to, I think if you just Google Wireframe Mag, and there's they're giving away 10,000 copies of the magazine, so you can sign up, get a free copy sent to you when it launches in early November.
Well, because what's interesting is this is being put out by the Raspberry Pi Foundation, isn't it?
Yeah, well, isn't it by the same people who did that Raspberry Pi magazine?
Okay.
I think it's... Well, I could be wrong, but I thought it was from the same people who did Pi, and like Pi magazine, they were giving away Raspberry Pis and all sorts of things, and their magazines are a few months ago.
Because there's stuff about like how to learn how to develop games in it, isn't there as well?
So it's about games and also the people who make them and so on and so forth. So
the fact that that's included makes me think this is partially funded by a grant somehow, and that's a thing they had to include. But I don't know.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, I'm interested. I mean, I've ordered my free copy. Why not? Yeah. I'm interested to see how that pans out. But if any of you that are working on that magazine are listening, then good luck, because I like magazines.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it for follow-up. You can leave us follow-up whenever you want. Just email thecomputergameshow@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at computergamepod on Twitter.
I think it's time for the news, isn't it?
This is the news. Facebook have cancelled the next generation Oculus Rift. Oculus Rift.
Doing so well. He's doing so well. It was going well. I thought, don't interrupt. You know what it was? It's because I didn't interrupt.
I know. Oculus Rift.
I saw that. I saw someone mention about. I think it was on Twitter. I can't remember his name. But when you announced that I wasn't going to be on it, someone was like, "Good, no, someone not interrupting James every 5 minutes." And I thought, well, now you know why I do.
Because
the worst thing about that is when you're not on, I don't know what to do, because I'm kind of anticipating being interrupted anyway. So then it doesn't
flinching
work.
as he go on.
So anyway, they've cancelled their next generation Oculus Rifts. This was going to be the Rift 2 headset, and apparently they're still planning a future version of the Rift, but the co-founder and former CEO, is it Brendan Iribe?
Iribe.
Yeah, Iribe, sorry. Was leading development on this, but he's now left, because apparently Facebook had a shake-up with their VR division, and there was this sort of conflict of interest over what people wanted. Facebook kind of seemed to be sort of moving to this sort of race to the bottom approach of wanting stuff like Oculus Go and everything sort of cheaper, not using a PC and all that kind of thing, whereas obviously Oculus were going for the more higher end kind of stuff. So that seems to be the end of that.
I mean, I think it's the right decision. I think they're doing the right thing. Get rid of some of the barriers first before you start trying to chase the high end product, because you want to sell some. You know what I mean? You want to make some money off this thing.
Yeah, so the one they announced 2 or 3 weeks ago is Oculus Quest, and that even uses the latest Oculus controllers, but it is an all-in-one. You don't need a PC. And Aribe's been great for years, and he's always really interesting in interviews that I've watched and read. He's obviously really super passionate about it, but he was always clearly passionate about the really high-end experiences. But I guess if VR is going to be a really big thing and the audience is going to be grown, it's only really going to be grown using these all-in-one experiences with no barriers, no PCs, no massive huge setup. So I don't doubt that there will be a Rift 2 or a high-end PC version, in the future, but I can also see why Facebook would rather focus on this all-in-one sort of solutions right now, just to get stuff out there, make it easier for people, and for people to see what VR is really about. But
and
it's such a shame because Brendan's he's really good. I'll be fascinated to see where he goes next. I mean, if Vive gets pick him up, or Microsoft for their mixed
PSVR.
Or that,
get him on that shit.
Obviously he's going to have to sign NDAs and all sorts of stuff, so he can't tell him about the technology. But I can't wait to see where he goes next.
Okay,
it's a shame. I mean, Rift 2 will come, but I can see why they're doing this.
It must also be Facebook looking at stuff like Oculus and all that, and how it hasn't really set the world alight, has it? Not in a massissive way yet.
No, it hasn't entered that many homes. I mean, it's being used in theme parks and places like that, but it's not. It's not entered people's homes yet.
Facebook knew they knew that when they were buying Oculus $2 billion a few years ago. This was always going to be the start of a 10-year journey to make it mainstream. I've said this a million times, but people expected, PSVR's here now and Oculus here now. It's now or never. This is always the ground floor. We're 10, 15 years away from the headsets being all-in-ones, 4K on your head, really light, cheap, etc. We're not, that it's a long old journey to there. So Facebook would have known that when they bought Oculus.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah. No, I don't think any of us are suggesting otherwise.
I think you're right, David.
What it is that there's two ways that you can go with it, isn't there? There's either try and make it as accessible as possible to get people used to the idea of using VR, or go for the high-end stuff and keep it still as a niche thing. And they had two different ideas about it. So, yeah.
Well, also, I mean, Facebook buying Oculus, I never got the impression it was really about gaming and stuff anyway. I mean, they wanted it because it was for their other stuff, like, you know, they had visions of, like, using Facebook in, like, virtual classrooms and stuff like that, and sporting events and all that kind of thing. And I guess you don't really need really, really high-end for that, ultimately. Maybe. I don't know.
No. Okay.
Okay, next one is Xbox Game Pass is coming to PC. So this was...
Which is a weird headline.
I thought it already was.
In and of itself, yeah. Yeah, well, the details there in the story, but yeah, the headline is weird.
Yeah, so it was announced during their latest quarterly, like the earnings call, and what it is that all the new first-party games that are going to launch like simultaneously on Xbox One and PC as part of the Play Anywhere stuff. But the weird thing about it, though, is that it's not weird, but it's kind of a shame, is that like the older games and third-party stuff is still going to be restricted to Xbox only. But they're talking about...
So I don't get... What's changed?
They're talking about that may change in the future. I don't know. I mean, is this like a just official like unveiling of it or something? Or was it... I mean, Sean, you've used this.
Well, yeah, because that's how I've been playing Forza Horizon 4, is I've just got Game Pass on my account, but I'm happen to be playing on a PC. And as I think I mentioned a few episodes ago, I thought there would be other games, but it's basically Gears of War, and I think that might be it. And then there must be something else I've missed. But yeah, I did that on the understanding, basically, as far as I'm concerned, that's just a very small monthly fee to play Forza Horizon 4 for the next couple of months.
Hold on, do you reckon they're just like, they thought, we haven't announced anything for a while? Quick, just announce something we've already announced. Fuck it. Let's just get that out there. Next Forza's in Britain. Right, okay, good. Right. What are we going to do next? Oh, teraflops. Right, okay, good. Right, that's out there. That's in social media. No one's noticed that we mentioned this ages ago and it's been out for a while. Good. Okay, I'm looking forward to the launch of the Xbox One X in March 2019. Like, it's just, what weird. I genuinely, I saw this and I was just like, did I dream that this was already out?
I mean, if you look at the actual quote, so they're talking about how brilliant the Xbox is and that, and then they say, so given the structural position, we're going to make sure that we keep increasing the strength of the community. You see that already with Minecraft going to all platforms and increasing the intensity of the community, and you'll see us do more of that. Obviously, bringing Game Pass to even the PC is going to be a big element of that.
But I've got it, guys.
Yeah, so that's not an announcement, is it? It's.
Do you reckon they forgot? They've been working on something that's already
Microsoft's like gaming, like PC stuff's always been terrible, hasn't it?
Yeah,
like really, like games for Windows, all that kind of stuff. It never really. They never seemed to sort of really know what they were doing, like with it, and also obviously they had the shadow of Steam over them all the time of people whether they're going to bother with it or not. But maybe this has got a better chance. I mean, especially if they're going to start bringing, like other stuff to it and third parties, and maybe even other things.
Like,
well, yeah. There's already Sea of Thieves as well, and then Crackdown's already going to be on it. I think. Yeah, that's right.
Do you reckon something that in the Microsoft Studios now they're going, how are we getting on with Gears of War 4, guys? Oh, just let you know, we forgot we totally released Gears of War 4 a little while ago. Really? Well, surely just call it Gears of War 5. You've created a new story. No, we accidentally wrote exactly the same story. We spent years developing a game we've already released. It's all gone to shit.
How's the Funko Pops version going? No one talks about that anymore.
No one does. No one does. Right, okay, next story. That was weird.
Okay, Red Dead Redemption 2 is the second biggest physical launch this year.
I couldn't believe this when this story came out.
Almost 70% of the sales are on PS4, apparently.
Really?
So
wow, okay.
The game, so it was the second biggest launch behind FIFA 19.
And that's the bit I can't believe. Like, FIFA 19 did well, etc., but like, it didn't beat FIFA 19. I'm just shocked in my head. Like, this was the biggest release of the generation.
Matt? Are you joking? Like, honestly, are you joking?
I know FIFA's obviously massive, but I just thought this is like the new Rockstar game. I just assumed this would just blow everything out of the water.
It's not GTA though, is it?
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. I think we forget that's a barrier for people.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, this doubled the sales of like Red Dead, like the original, well, not the original, but the last one, and this excludes digital sales as well. But then so does FIFA's one as well. So it doesn't.
And I'm assuming this is UK only sales, right?
But what is interesting, I mean, it's beaten Call of Duty launches, including like World War II last year and also Black Ops 4 this year. But it's not anywhere close to GTA 5 because that sold 2 million at launch.
Yeah, but it was never going to be.
Yeah. Well, according to Matt, it was. It's biggest game ever, like release.
I said of the generation, that GTA 5 is on the last generation.
But more importantly, I guess, I suppose single console games are never going to do as well, are they, as multi-format?
No.
But no, I mean, there's no need to be glum about it. I mean, it's sold really well by all accounts. So,
I mean, the split. The split is also, I mean, the 68%. Like PS4, it's not really surprising given the install bases.
True. And obviously, PS4 was the lead marketing platform on this. All the adverts had PS4.
Yeah, like the fact that there was
that stuff, didn't they?
That sort of quite last minute, like, oh shit, it's actually much better on the One X or whatever.
That's for
nerds,
made me
isn't it? That's not for normal people. That's
Sam, what was it? Sam White was text me in the week telling me about Red Dead because obviously he'd played it before I had, having reviewed it. And he said, "What are you getting it on?" I said, "Well, the Xbox One X." And he went, "Oh, why would you do that? It's the lead console is the PlayStation." And I went, "Well, all my mates play on Xbox, and I don't." I told him about the fans again. And he said, "Whoa!" And then the Digital Foundry piece came out, and I was like, "How's your PS4 version, Sam?" Apparently, he started again on the Xbox version.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's meant to be the best version of it, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So, it's not surprising, really. Okay, cool.
Okay, so then another story, which is a really odd one, which I'm hoping you've seen the pictures for, is that Microsoft is developing a smartphone controller.
I have. So I've seen the concept images, yeah.
So this is all for the Project xCloud thing, and they've done some 3D printed examples, and they look kind of similar to a Joy-Con model, it's got the controllers that strap on the side of the phone or the tablet or whatever, and I mean, according to this Eurogamer article, Microsoft already said that the PSP and the Switch kind of handled this really well. They were, they were kind of well integrated controls, and that most of the mobile solutions there are now are kind of bulky and inflexible. But these look horrendous.
Oh god, yeah, they do. They look so bad.
These are a few years old. But still, yeah.
They still look terrible.
Yeah, but they've made pads for ages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They know what a good pad is.
But there's no way getting... I mean, they've literally just snapped Xbox controller in two and put it either side of a tablet.
No, they haven't. It looks nothing like an Xbox controller. It's all angular and it looks horrendous. It looked I thought that was a joke. Yeah. I genuinely did.
It looks like one of those Mad Cats kind of things from the 1990s. One of those just it looks horrendous, really, really terrible.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to be able to convince people to carry joypads like that around. I mean, you do with your Switch because it's part of that sort of portable system.
Yeah.
But carrying a pad around like that just to connect your phone, I don't know, man. It's a weird concept.
Yeah, it's another barrier, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way I'm going to carry those around. If I'm going to play on my phone, I'll just have to make do with phone controls, I guess. But I'm not going to be
weird,
snapping those babies on my phone. It's just
you say that, Matt, but I could really imagine you doing that, Matt. I don't know why.
I mean, I've got enough for shit on me with AirPods and a fucking electric skateboard. I'm not also going to then attach controllers to my phone. Not happening.
I mean, it's
it might be.
It's an odd one because it's obviously the Switch is quite big and we don't mind carrying that around with us. But
it doesn't look
something
awful,
to connect to your phone like that feels, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, the Switch might be big, but it's just take it out of the case and you're there. You're not okay, snap this one on the right side of my phone, snap on left, and then
swipe up to all the notifications.
The train's coming to the station, detach that, put that in a bag, put the phone in
also,
your
pocket.
Yes.
It doesn't look like a batarang, does it? That stuck on it. It just looks terrible. They did. I was not impressed. Have you seen this, Sean? These controllers?
Yeah, it's just I like the fact that it covers a bit of the fucking screen. That's my favourite bit.
Well, Apple does that themselves with their latest phones, so don't worry about it. All right, okay.
And so the last bit I've got is that Sony have finally announced the games for the PS Classic. You've got 20 games here.
So a lot of positive reaction to this on Twitter.
I've seen a lot of everything about this.
Oh,
yeah,
there's
people slagging it off.
Yeah.
Twitter,
Why were they slagging it off about? Who was it? Andy?
Well, it's not got everyone's favourite games on it, has it?
It's the wrong Destruction Derby.
Yeah.
It's got stuff like that.
Right, go for them.
Okay, Battle Arena Toshinden.
Oh god, that has to be on there.
Well, it does,
It
it's one of the first games, wasn't it? That came, wasn't it? Didn't it launch with that?
Possibly.
It was there early days.
No, that wasn't a launch game, was
I'm
it?
sure it was.
Don't know about
It
launch,
was-
but it was there early.
Yeah.
Right, next.
Cool Borders 2.
I love Cool Borders. I mean, I can't
Not
remember
quite
the
as good
second
as
one being
1080, was it?
great.
Not quite as good as 1080 or SSX.
Yeah, but 1080 was
when
on
you're
the
the
system.
third best snowboarding games, then
This is a PlayStation classic. This isn't the 64 classic.
no, I
is it?
know, but I'm just saying, there were better snowboarding
Also on
games.
N64, I really love Snowboard Kid or Snowbow Kids. That was also banging.
Yeah, no, I played a lot of that
Yeah.
actually.
Destruction Derby.
I loved it. I mean, lots of people on Twitter saying, Destruction Derby 2 is better. Maybe, but the first one's a classic, and I played that on my
Oh,
Saturn.
that's interesting. That's actually really interesting because from the reaction I saw, I thought Destruction Derby 2 was on there, not 1.
The first
And
one.
people were saying, oh no, 2 was better. That may be the case, but isn't the whole point in this nostalgia?
Yeah, it doesn't- it's not
And
the
for a
best
lot
game.
of
It's
people,
like-
the first
yeah.
time they saw the PS1 was Destruction Derby 1,
Exactly,
the
yeah.
demo.
And yeah, I
So-
love that. I played that tons of my Saturn. I want to hear those old, the sound bites and well
God,
up for
you
that.
played it on the Saturn. Didn't it run like total shit on the Saturn?
I can't remember, but
If
it
I
was
remember
fine.
correctly.
I
Most
also
things
played
did,
Tomb Raider
but
on
yeah.
the Saturn, which is on the list. But sorry,
So did I. I played Tomb Raider on the Saturn.
Yeah.
Go on.
Final Fantasy 7.
obviously,
Yeah.
No, it had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
El Clasico.
Grand Theft Auto.
obviously,
Nice.
great, yeah.
Yep, that's a great shout. I didn't even think of that when we were talking about this.
Yeah. Intelligent Cube.
Yeah,
Don't even know that.
It's Jumping Flash, which was really good.
yeah, obviously,
Yeah, we've mentioned that, yeah. Let's scroll a bit faster.
Okay, Metal Gear Solid.
yeah.
which
Big, obviously,
is-
had to be there. But as everyone is saying, like that game launched with the analog sticks on the pad.
It did not,
Sorry, the
but,
powered analog sticks launched with when the game came out. This classic control does not have analog sticks, so it's gonna be pretty weird.
Shit.
It came out with Ape Escape. The dual sticks. Anyway.
Okay, but Metal Gear Solid was out when the dual sticks were out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Driller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Game.
Oddworld Abe's Odyssey.
Good game.
That's another game that I associate with the PlayStation, so I kind of get that.
definitely.
Okay. Rayman.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, that's been released on
Okay.
everything ever. Resident Evil Director's Cut.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry about that. Again,
Yeah.
play the first one on Saturn, but that's a classic oldie, isn't it?
Revelations Persona.
Persona 1.
I don't
No
even know.
idea.
I was not into that back then.
No.
Okay. Ridge Racer Type 4.
This is weird because in my head it should be the first one, but whatever. If it's a better game, it's a better game.
And they got Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo,
Yes.
which is that's very good.
Good fucking game.
Siphon Filter, which was also great. Do you remember using the taser where you could like fire it at somebody and then just hold down the button until they set on fire? Is that just me?
Fucking
That's
No,
James's childhood
just you.
memories.
Wow.
You're psychopath. I mean, wasn't someone hopeful that they'd announce a sequel at E3 this year? I'm sure it was one of our
I
predictions.
think I might have mentioned
Yeah.
that.
I think it was Matt, yeah.
This is the test bed. They're seeing what people are saying about it, and then bang, next year, new Siphon Filter, 4K.
Then you-
First question from James Farley, the Now Games journalist, saying, can you hold a taser down on someone?
just like
Torture
on fire.
Torture
they
them
go on
until they
fire.
set on fire and die.
Seriously,
go on
did none
fire.
of you do that?
No, I was
I never
anti
played the game,
games.
but even if I had.
They used to scream like the screaming was
Okay,
like
James, we
horrendous.
get
Okay,
it.
all right, all
we
right.
get it. You get
Fucking
off on that stuff.
It's not as good as the white phosphorus in Rainbow Six
Okay,
3.
we get it. You
That
like
was,
it.
you know-
Cool.
Okay.
Next game.
Anyway, then we've got Tekken 3, which is obviously that is
again,
the best.
in my head, like, why not the first one? But because I remember the
'Cause it's
first
not
one
that
so
good.
prominently on it. Yeah, but again, it's not about that.
Yeah, it's not a bit. I mean, we can't use the argument for Destruction Derby and then.
No, but Tekken 3 was is the one on the PlayStation. I mean, even when the PS2 came out, it was still like a lot better than most
I've
of the
never
other stuff
heard
that
you
came
sound
out.
like more of a PR guy. That was really weird.
It's the one.
God,
That's what you show
Okay,
on the back of the box.
Rainbow
it's
Six.
the one on the PlayStation system, the Sony's PlayStation system. Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
God,
Wow.
playing
Oh, it's
that
the
on an old
PlayStation
controller
version,
with no
isn't it?
analog sticks. Fuck.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
No, thank you.
Twisted Arms. Twisted Metal, rather.
Yeah.
And,
right, fine.
and
Twisted
Wild,
Arms.
Yeah, well, no,
Wild
because the
Arms.
next one is Wild Arms.
Twist 'em
so
Arms.
it's-
Right, okay.
I mean, the thing is, as with all of these, retro consoles, they're so at the mercy of what they can negotiate the licenses for. So there's no way this was all their first picks. for this list.
There's not many out there that I can think should be on there that isn't on the list. Maybe Pandemonium.
I mean, Wipeout's a massive one, surely. I mean, again, it's the music licenses that fuck it, isn't it? But yeah,
Wipeout's a good shout. Pandemonium. I like. Shouldn't they have put that music game on there? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Where we all thought that we could create music using our PlayStation. That would have been a good shout.
There's also, you got stuff like Parappa the Rapper as well. Would have been nice.
Yeah, but they've just sold that on the PS4, haven't they?
Yeah. But then also like Silent Hill, and stuff like that, because that was pretty huge as well during that time. But I don't know. It is a shame though that this is like a console without like a DualShock, because a lot of these games are going to control horribly.
Maybe there's an option to them. I mean, wouldn't it be wicked if there was an option to just use your DualShock 4? I mean, the fucking pad hasn't changed that much.
Does this thing even have Bluetooth? I presume not, because they're wired pads.
Oh God, yeah, they are, aren't they?
No, I bet it doesn't. Yeah. But like, wouldn't it be good if it
did? It would be cool. Yeah. So no Tomb Raider, no. Yeah, like there's obviously a lot of classics missing, but
you don't want to play. I was actually really impressed with the list.
I was more impressed with this list than I have been with any of the SNES or NES ones. I'm like,
that's because you've never played any of those games, Matt.
Yeah, so. I'll say go. Anyway, but so I was like, okay, a lot of these excite me. But
someone was saying Driver is a big omission as well.
Driver,
it's fair enough. Yeah,
Cooler World,
Discworld, right?
Cooler World.
Go on.
Well, that's it. That's all the news.
Cooler World.
Good. All right. Well, listen, obviously we're going to talk about Red Dead Redemption. I've just got a feeling that we should probably leave that.
Should we do everything else first? Yeah.
Get everything else out of the way, and then we can just knuckle down and talk about Red Dead Redemption. We've all been playing Red Dead Redemption. There's going to be plenty of Red Dead chat. I know it's while you're here. I'll quickly brush through mine. I've been playing a lot more Call of Duty. I still think it's wonderful. The Battle Royale mode in that has now jumped the list to easily my favourite of all of them. It's more fun than PUBG, and it's less silly than Fortnite. It sits right on the edge for me. I fucking love it, and I've been loving the multiplayer as well. The multiplayer is way more fun than I thought it would be. All those power ups and stuff. Yeah, it's been great. I highly recommended if you're after an old school competitive shooter again, then cracking stuff. It's great as well because obviously we've spoken before on older podcasts about how frustrating Call of Duty can be, especially in multiplayer when you're just getting killed in the back over and over and over again. But then to be able to just go, should we just switch to Blackout for a little bit and then playing that mode for a little bit and then switching back to multiplayer, it's just been perfect for that. I've been hammering Rocket League again. Like I'm now level 70, so I've unlocked all of the items in that Rocket Pass, and I'm currently going for a funk of just losing so many games that it's ridiculous. I went down to Silver 1. That means nothing to you people, but to me it killed me. I managed to get back up to Gold, and now I've dropped back down to Silver, and it's horrendous. I don't want to be there anymore. I'm Silver 3 at the moment. It just takes a couple more, but I'm still Rocket League for life, y'all. What was the other game? I completed Shenmue, James.
Yes, you did.
I finished Shenmue. My latest stream's up there. I'm going to start Shenmue 2 hopefully this week. I really enjoyed it. I mean, there's a lot in there. I mean, you mentioned this last week, and I'm not thinking, James, that you are going to defend that scene where Goro marries that 16-year-old, whatever she is. But I will say that a lot of the stuff you absolutely tear David Cage apart is in this. Like, for example,
as I've said though, David Cage is still doing that stuff now. This is ages ago.
But listen, it was still. I mean, you talk about how David Cage sort of just forced relationships out of nowhere without any build-up, right?
Yeah.
That relationship between Ryu and Hazuki, is it? Hazomi, yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I know it doesn't. It never goes anywhere, does it? I mean,
it never goes anywhere. And then there's the ballad on the bike, which just made me laugh rather than. And then it's just look.
But a lot of that
I
stuff,
loved it, and I could respect it for the time that it come out. Definitely, there are certain areas of that game that are way behind games that have come out at that time. You know, especially the narrative. When you really look down at the narrative, it is literally just man being sent from place to place.
Yeah,
like,
it's a revenge
ridiculous
thing, isn't it? Which is, it's not. Yeah, it's not that. But what I enjoyed about it when I played it was just being in that world at that time, because at that time it was impressive. Like, technically, you know, what was sort of going on, and it was interesting. But,
yeah, and also because you're spending so much time around these like sort of bit characters, and I get. We will absolutely touch on this stuff again when we talk about Red Dead, but spending, like, it forces you to spend time with a lot of characters, and then you do start to grow to like a few and dislike a few, even if it is a bit like, oh, this is a silly one, I like him, but it doesn't matter. Like, you look forward to seeing that character again as you're wandering around.
Yeah.
Like, having characters wandering around doing their own business in between like cutscenes and missions and stuff is genius, because like I'll be wandering around the docks and initially you're like, there's all these strangers about, and then you'll turn a corner and go, oh look, it's Mark, you're right Mark, and then you could go up and say hello to Mark, even though it's not part of the game at all and you don't have to do it.
Yeah,
you could go you recognise people around town and stuff like that. I mean, I get it, I get it, and I will say this, James, the combat in Shenmue pisses on the combat in Yakuza. Like, it's still legitimately brilliant in Shenmue.
Well, it depends, because I mean, you were a fan of Virtua Fighter, weren't you? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. See, I never got into Virtua Fighter, so.
Oh my god! You go Yakuza, you're just hammering buttons.
No, you're not, Dave. You're not. It's just...
Yes, you are.
No, you're
James.
not. You're not at all.
That's literally what I did, and I didn't die once in it. It's nothing. There's no. It was nothing. That I'm thinking back, right? Comparing this to Yakuza, I think that is the major reason why I didn't get into Yakuza. I hated the combat in it. I hated it, and it. There was so much of it. And when I got to the later part of Shenmue 1, it chucks combat at you constantly. Like, out of nowhere, it's just like, right, every scene's a combat scene now. But because I enjoyed the combat in it, it didn't bother me. Whereas in Yakuza, because I hated it, it was just like, I don't want to get into fights because I just don't like the combat in it. That's it. So yeah, I think that's where, like, a lot of people are saying, how can he like Shenmue and not Yakuza? And that's probably the reason.
But again, as I've tried to explain before, the thing with Yakuza is that the combat is not how you think it is. Like, it really isn't. Like, after you've played it for a significantly longer period of time. But I would concede...
Like what? Well, how many hours do you reckon till the combat shows itself?
I don't know. I mean, it's once you start unlocking more stuff. Like, once you start unlocking more moves.
To argue that, I played for 7 to 10 hours of Yakuza, right? And that is a lot, and there was a hell of a lot of combat in it.
Yeah. That
is a lot of combat to go through before it gets good.
Yeah, but the combat in Shenmue is different because it's also used quite sparingly. Like, you don't have to do a lot of it, but I would concede that, like, technically it's probably better because it is based on Virtua Fighter, which was more of a proper fighting game.
There's a block system, there's a guard system, there's a counter system. It feels brilliant. Whereas, like, Yakuza, it didn't feel like that at all to me. But anyway, whatever. I think that's the ultimate takeaway from why I'm enjoying Shenmue and compared to why I didn't enjoy Yakuza. How are you getting on with Yakuza, Sean?
Red Dead came out this week, Dave. Come on.
And that's the games that I've played during the week that haven't been Red Dead. So, Matt, have you got anything on your list?
No, I played nothing else other than Red Dead, and
I've only
played
totally
Red Dead.
Fine.
But new.
Right, okay. Sean?
So I've got a few queued up because I missed a couple of weeks.
Go on.
I've been playing JYDGE, spelt with a Y, so it looks like JYDGE.
How's JYDGE? What's JYDGE like? What's JYDGE on?
So I'm playing it on the Switch. I think it's on like pretty much everything else. So it's basically like a. James, I know you've mentioned Neon Chrome before.
Yeah.
Which was this really good sort of top-down twin-stick shooter, but it was like a roguelike, and you're sort of going through the floors of this building and like getting new like cyber abilities and weapons and stuff as you go, and it's like, you know, it's all randomly generated. It's really good. So this is by the same devs, and it's basically like reappropriating all the assets they made for Neon Chrome and kind of framing it in a slightly different game. It's still a twin stick shooter, but this time it's like a set of like actually designed levels with like specific objectives, and like you still unlock stuff as you go, but it's like you're sort of picking and choosing like the upgrades that you buy instead of it just being like a random thing as you go through the game. So like, yeah, so you'll do a mission and it'll be like, you know, go into this nightclub, kill these two guys and then get out. But then there'll be like a series of medals you can earn. So one will be like, do it in under 30 seconds. One will be, do it without getting seen, or do it without taking any damage, or, you know, whatever. There's like tons of these different objectives. And you don't have to do them all in one go. So you can do a level once and be like, right, so hang on, how can I do this as quickly as possible? So you think like, right, okay, so if I want to be quick, I can equip like my ability that lets me run faster, my ability that lets me run through walls, and then like something else. But then if you go in stealth, there's like all stealth abilities you can pick from. And so yeah, it's just like every level, just like it's just really enjoyable, like properly rinsing it. And it's got like, even though like it looks quite basic, like the visuals aren't amazing or anything, and it like seems quite simplistic, but then you sort of find yourself doing really entertaining things. Like you'll look into one room and it's like, well, hang on, the door into the room is like in this, like in one position, and there's a guy stood behind it, but on the other side of the room there's an explosive barrel, and I can get around to that other side of the room, punch through the wall, shoot the barrel, blow the guy up. Like you can be just like a bit creative with it. Yeah, I was properly enjoying it. It was like £7 in a sale. Really like it.
So sorry, you may have already said this. What are you playing it on?
Switch.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah. And you sort of like it.
So what made you go and buy it? Like what?
Just because I'd enjoyed Neon Chrome, and this looked like a similar thing, but a bit more structured.
Right. Okay.
And and it's kind of like it is quite funny, but not in the ways it's trying to be. Like it's sort of
yeah.
in like the loading. Yeah, like the loading screen tips have like little funny hashtags and stuff that aren't actually that funny. But the main funny thing about the two main funny things about it. One, so obviously it's the character's sort of based on Judge Dredd, but obviously they haven't got the license. So, but he's like this sort of futuristic JYDGE Dredd, yeah. This sort of futuristic cyber cop guy, but he's got like the judge's like wig on. And like his gun is called the gavel, and it's like an assault rifle but with like a fucking hammer on the end of it.
Yeah, that's right.
And the replacing certain vowels with the letter Y is just a recurring thing. So you're a JYDGE and you shoot billets
James
and stuff. And I can't tell if it's meant to be funny or not, but it is. So yeah, I'm properly enjoying it. Just really nice one to just stick on for like 5 minutes and like, right, let's redo this level but try and do this objective, or you know.
See, I've just had a look at this, some pictures of this short, and it does look identical to Neon Chrome.
Like, they've totally taken all the same assets and stuff and just basically reused.
Does it have any good gins in it?
Just that
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, been enjoying that. I've also been playing Space Hulk Tactics, which is a weird name, right? Because this is a recreation of Space Hulk, the board game that has been around for about 30 odd years, and is regarded as a bit of a classic. It's set in the Warhammer 40k universe, but it's this it's this really sort of scaled down, like, right, you've got a team of like 4 or 5 guys, and it's basically like the unofficial Aliens board game, in that you've got a team of Space Marines and you are working your way around a space station that has got aliens in it. And like, you can shoot, but you are very slow. The aliens can't shoot, but are very fast. And that's pretty much where the interest is, because it's sort of asynchronous. So you can play against the AI, but also you can play against other people. And obviously it's really different depending on which side you're playing as. It's kind of like Warhammer Space Marines look kind of absurd anyway, right? Like the suits of armor are absolutely fucking ridiculous. So when you put them in a game where it's like, oh yeah, each guy is like the entire width of a corridor, and they have to spend like a movement point just to fucking turn around because they're in these giant suits of power armor and in this really enclosed space. But like that, again, that's the whole point, is that they are sort of slow and clunky, but it's all about like, you're in all these really tight corridors, and it's all about like trying to like figure out like a perfect defense so that there's no way the aliens can get to you. But like some missions that'll be like you've got to defend an objective for 5 turns or whatever, so you figure out like the most efficient way of placing all your guys so they're watching like every possible angle. But then like sometimes you'll get a mission, it's like, well, you've got to get from one side of this map to the other. So you go, okay, well, I'll start out, I'll position all my guys so they're all totally safe and all the angles are covered, and then you got to be like, right, now we need to start moving. And it's like, so you've created this perfect defense, and then it's like, how do I pick this apart in like the least shit way possible so that I can start moving my guys down the next corridor and onto the next bit, and it's just like it's a classic. Like I've never played the board game, but like literally just Space Hulk, but a good version of it on your PlayStation 4 or PC. Like that is enough of a sales pitch.
So do you think you're overwhelmed with options? So when you say, okay, I've set up the defense or the offense, but then he's not sure what happens next when you see the enemy on the board? Is that the issue?
It's totally like, it's one of those that it's really quite elegant in like, it's really simple in that it is just a case of like, right, well, if enemies could come from like these 2 corridors, so I'll position this guy watching this way, this guy watching this way, and then theoretically everyone's safe. There are like dice rolls involved. That's one of the reasons like board games that involve dice rolls sort of wind me up a bit, because it's like you can be as careful as possible, but still you could just have a shit dice roll and people can die. But so there is an element of that. But yeah, like it's really quite simple on the face of it. It's just, it gets interesting when you look at the layouts of the levels and stuff, and you're like, right, well, like if enemies are just coming from this one direction, that's piss easy, but if they're coming from 3 different directions, then suddenly that's a lot to think about. But it's not, it's not like you're sort of agonizing over like every turn or whatever. And there's usually like, it's one of those where it sort of accepts that your guys are going to die every level. Like that's basically fine. Like as long as you complete the objectives and don't completely fuck it, then it doesn't like judge you. It's not like, oh, you fucking got 3 of your guys killed, so that's as long as you do the objectives, it's fine. So yeah, it is just a very good, entirely faithful recreation of a classic board game, which, and like I would recommend it to people who haven't played the original, because I never did.
And if you've got
played the original, recommend it to me.
Well, no, I mean you're different, obviously, aren't you, Dave? Because
thank you.
You hate nerd shit.
You got my personality down to a T there, Sean.
But if you've got no affiliation or no sort of love for the old board game, is it still a decent game in its own right?
Yeah, like it is just like a really good tactical sort of like a digital board game. Like especially like if you've enjoyed like XCOM and stuff, like it's very much in that vein. As I say, it's quite sort of scaled back, but in a way that is elegant rather than just like, oh well, there's not a lot to this. There's loads to it. It's just that it only takes 2 minutes to explain the rules. What else? Last one. I've been playing Windjammers, because that is out on the Switch now, and is still brilliant. I've loved this game for a long time, so having it on the Switch is ace. Do you guys know much about it? Have any of you played it?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I played it. No, I played that disc, the sort of rip-off one on the PS4.
Oh, was it Disc
was a very
Jammers or Disc League or something?
Yeah, Disc League or something. Yeah. No, but I get the basic concept of it, and it seems like a lot of fun. But I've never properly been in a situation where I could get into it.
Yeah, it's a fascinating game, because it is a sports game on the face of it, and it's you and someone else chucking a frisbee at each other and trying to get the frisbee behind them so that it hits the back of the arena or whatever, and you score points. But when you get into it, it's like, oh shit, this is actually kind of a fighting game. Like the terminology behind it, like when you really get into it and you learn about the spacing and how the controls work and special moves and stuff, it's like, oh no, this actually has more sort of DNA with Street Fighter than like a tennis game or whatever. But like, and speaking as someone who generally doesn't have the patience of fighting games, like Windjammers is ace. It's really simple and easy to get into. But again, like once you like really want to, if you really want to spend time with it, there's a lot there. Like when I play against people who actually take it seriously, I get fucking rinsed. But it's still like a classic, and I'm really glad like the last couple of years it's had a bit of a resurgence. Apparently like Giant Bomb bang on about it a lot.
Yeah, they do. Jeff is mega into it, and he talks about like the French leagues and stuff. Like it's massive.
For some reason it's fucking massive in France. Don't know what that's about.
So obviously with it being out on the Switch, I'm assuming one of the major benefits is that it's playable on a single Joy-Con.
Do you know, I've not tried, but I would guess so, because there's only, basically, you've got a stick and like 2 buttons. That's the entire control,
like breaking off and, just playing it like that would be...
2-player.
Has it got really online play?
It has, yeah.
And does it require Nintendo Online?
Do you know, I've not checked. I guess
must
it
do, right?
would. Yeah. Which is a bit of a bummer.
So I mean, that seems like, if you're a big fan of that, to have that sort of portable one, to be able to just break off 2 controllers or whatever. Because is it just 1v1?
Yeah.
So I mean, that seems like the perfect sort of game for that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
I'm assuming there's no performance issues or anything.
No,
like that.
I mean, it's basically just emulating an old arcade game. So it's it's absolutely fine.
It seems like a good home for it.
Yeah, pretty much. It is a classic, and obviously it's exciting because they are actually doing a sequel now. Although God knows how that's going to turn out, but
never know, Sean.
So can you see yourself just like, okay, well, I've got 5 minutes, I'll just have a quick Windjammers game?
Absolutely, yeah. That's what
I'm at
doing,
a party.
I'm at a rooftop party.
It out.
I'm a rooftop party. Who fancies jamming the wind? You know what I mean?
Yeah, do not say that at a party.
Pick up line of the year.
Do you want to jam the wind?
Only because you'll be flooded with so many cool people that are like me. I wish to jam the wind, and become
what's
a
your
nightmare.
24-digit code?
Nightmare.
That's me.
James.
I've played a couple of things. I finished FIFA 19's Journey, which
congratulations.
I was absolutely delighted to get to the end of it because I hated it by the end. Which
there's a Millwall reference in there, though. That's beautiful.
There is, yeah.
I've been thinking about this because you've been keeping quiet about this in front of Sean, and I understand why. You've been banging on, right? I listened to... Well, actually, I think you mentioned it on the show last week about how long these games are.
Yeah.
Like, they're actually really, really long. The journeys are, like, you're saying, like, 40 hours each.
Probably. It's I wouldn't say it's quite that much, but it's definitely at least sort of like 20 or so.
So Sean's got 3 of these lined up, right? Yeah. But here's the thing, Sean, right? James was going, see, the problem is you can skip the training, but, like, if you do that, you won't get picked for the team and you'll have rubbish stats.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is this, is an EA game, right? It's FIFA, yeah? I don't think that's going to matter.
No, I think he won't have to play any games because he'll just get dropped and then he won't even have to do anything.
But do you think the story caters for that?
No, it does. You get game over, like, with it, seriously.
No way.
No, you do. If you get
game over if you don't train yourself up enough.
No, if you get dropped from the team, like, repeatedly, you just get released and that's it. You're done.
Oh my God.
This is what I'm saying.
Sean,
you can't.
I'm so sorry.
That'd be the canonical ending of my journey.
Sean, no, it can't. You've got 60 hours of the journey ahead of you.
You can simulate some of it, but not all of it, and you also have to perform in the matches, because if you don't, you will get dropped, and then you're done.
Do you know what's beautiful as well? If Sean doesn't complete this before September, he's got another one to do.
They've not confirmed another season yet because this was the last one.
It's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah, blatantly is. No, I mean, I would like nothing more than to actually learn to sincerely enjoy it, and then it won't feel like a chore.
Yeah, but as fans of football,
because honestly, I was saying to Matt like last week, like by the end of this, I was beginning to hate football. Like by the end of this, it's just. And I love football, and I've been playing these games for years and years, and I just was like, I'm sick of this now.
Maybe it'll have the opposite effect. It's like a 1-in, 1-out rule. You're off the football, I'm now into it. That's how...
I think
Sean is going to come like he's a pure football fan.
Is there, I assume, right, like there's going to be bits where, so I'll do like a story-focused bit on the stream, and then be like, right now I just have to do some boring shit. and then I'll just do
you have
bits
to do the
offline
football match
for several hours. Like
you don't take it offline.
Okay,
You got to do it all online because that's part of it as well.
Okay,
Sean, how can you ask that when I did roughly 60 days of working a forklift? Was it because there was a bug?
Yeah,
right. There were points, right, where I was going, has anyone got any questions?
Yeah. Okay. No, fair enough.
But you see, I'm just saying, Sean, you've got to prepare yourself for extreme tedium. Like, honestly, it's like you're gonna. I'm really looking forward to watching you play this because it's gonna like. I want to see how good you are at like playing something that is so boring, like that you're going to find really boring and being entertaining while you're doing it. This is going to be if you could do
this
that.
Is it. Like either that is going to be the entertainment value, or I'm going to want to die.
Yeah, it's going to be really
entertaining, which is the entertainment value. So sorted. All right, anything else, James?
I finished Pool Panic today, which I've enjoyed actually. I mean, as I said, I went back to it, and because I'd kind of like, I hadn't written it off, but I was, I just left it for a while, and I ended up really, really enjoying it. And I finished it today, and it's a very good game.
I'm going to have to pick it up at some point.
I think you'll probably like it. The main problem with it is that the controls are really kind of loose. But I kind of went through this just thinking I don't really care if I don't like score top marks and everything. I just want to see what wacky, weird stuff's going to come next, because there's some really funny bits in it. Especially, I mean, there's this one level that's set on like a pirate ship, and like as the ship's like bucketing around, and then it's like your cue ball just keeps vomiting over the side and stuff like that. It's just there's lots of stuff like that, which is it's really good. I mean, there was like one of the last bits that I played. It's like there's like a rock concert going on. And then, like, one of the other parts of it is you, like, go to a field where everyone's, like, going to the toilets and everything, and it's all just, like, a mess and just, like, festival toilets and stuff and just horrible. And, yeah, it's very good. I really enjoy playing it. But, I finished that. The only other thing I've played, apart from Red Dead, is I've played Fist of the North Star, which I've started to properly get into now, and it's kind of clicked. But then what's kind of annoying is also, like, Red Dead is out now, which is making this a bit difficult, because I just started to get into it because I just begun to separate in my mind the similarities with Yakuza, and I was having a better time with it. And there's certain aspects of it which I'm enjoying more than Yakuza, particularly actually the combat, I would say, because
which is brilliant in Yakuza. Apparently,
I never said it was brilliant. No, I never said it was brilliant. I just said that the way you reacted to it is insane. But with this, it's kind of different.
Why?
What do you mean? Why?
Why is it insane the way I reacted to it?
Because you put so little time into it. And it's like, anyway, I don't want to get into this again.
7 to 10 hours.
How long did you play Stardew Valley, James?
At least 20 hours, Matt. And in fact, I went back to that the other day and started playing it and realised again that it's incredibly dull. So the good thing about Yakuza, about Fist of the North Star, though, is that it's got with the combat, it has like the pressure point stuff as well, which was obviously one of the main things that Kenshiro has, like the hero, where it's like it's all like the timing about when you like hit the buttons, you hit them at exactly the right time, then it does like more spectacular exploding heads and stuff, which is a lot of fun. But it's just a shame because it's Red Dead's out, and I think I'm going to have to do something where I kind of like alternate between the two, because I really want to get on with it, because I really am enjoying it a lot, and I think it's very good. But Red Dead, and that's where I'm with that.
Red Dead, then. Red Dead.
Red Dead.
Okay, first of all, let's do this. How far into it is everyone?
I'm only about 2 hours in. I'm not that far.
Okay, Matt?
Yeah, I'm probably like 2.5. I've got to chapter 2, and I've done like about half an hour, 40 minutes after that, so not much.
About the same as me.
Have you both done the train bit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, train bit's in chapter 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, right, fine. Sean?
I must have done about 10-15 hours now, I think.
Right, so you're definitely ahead of me. I've probably done about 6 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Can I just get this bit out of the way? I've been thinking about this a lot, actually. When I was going nuts about this the first evening that I played it, I sort of sent a message out on our group chat just saying, initial thoughts. And James replied with, it's not, I've played it I haven't played it for long, but it's not really grabbing me at the moment. And, the thing is, all right, in the chat, I was going, classic James and all that sort of stuff. But I will say this, like, I can totally understand why someone would play this and not like it, like not get it straight away. The reason being that it's incredibly slow to begin with. It is incredibly slow. Also, the controls are a problem. There's no overlooking that. I mean,
the controls are...
Yeah, can I just say that, because I've got two things that I don't like about this game, like, so far. There's just two things.
Well, we'll get to that. Let's just focus on the controls just for a sec, because we're here.
Because that's one of them. And
the biggest problem with the controls, right, for me,
terrible.
It's not the button layout. It's not the dead zone. It's not the how slow it is to pan around, because most of that is adaptable in the settings. For me, it's the situational stuff.
Absolutely.
And the way that one button can do way too much. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different options for one button. Now, I'm hoping that the longer I play this game, the more I get used to it. And I mentioned this to you, Sean, as well. But there's a mission very early on, but we're not going to go into spoilers or anything. There's a mission very early on where you have to make a moral choice whether to kill someone or let them live. Now, on the screen, it comes up R trigger to aim.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually explain that it's only a quick tap of R trigger to pull your gun out, right? So I held down the R trigger to aim, and I shot the bloke. And I was like, oh, for fuck, I didn't mean to do...
I did exactly the same thing. Like, I walked in, like, you know the place where you go and get bounties? I walked into there, and it was like, I did the same thing, and I just shot the sheriff in the head. And then it was just...
That is brilliant.
And then it all went to shit. And it's just... I was just thinking, how did that happen? That was not at all my intention. And that's been my problem as well. Like, there's just been so many things that have happened that I've done that have been completely unintentional because of this.
And I don't know if it explains it.
Actually, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
One of the early missions, you're basically encroaching on a camp, and there's dialogue between.
I did that. Yeah,
yeah. You and another character. You're walking towards this. What are they called? But basically, like a camp of enemies, whatever. So you're walking down this thin area to get to the place. I wanted to have another chat with him, just to do that, and I pressed X. I'm playing on Xbox, and that fired my pistol. I shot him. He was pissed off, and I alerted all the people we were trying to do a stealthy entrance to. So yeah, but he didn't say.
For me, it was. He says, "Are you going to take the lead, or are you going to send the gang in?"
Oh yeah.
And it said, and I thought, I'll take the lead. So I just aimed my gun at one of the guys and shot him. And he was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, well, I'm taking the lead. But what I had to do was hold down left trigger, look at him, and then say, I'll take the lead.
Right.
That's what I was supposed to do. The good thing is the game just let me do that, and it carried on. Like, there was no repercussions of it and whatever. It was like, okay, you've decided to do that, and we're all reacting to that now, and that's fine. I understand what I'm saying, ultimately, with this sort of stuff where we're talking about the negatives towards the game. I can understand that people that go into... There's a certain type of person that goes into each game and to completely, number one, top of their list is gameplay, right? That's what they talk about. That's what they love about games. It's that feeling of a game, that, the freedom of movement and the freedom of, the actual gunplay is important. You know, all of that stuff is high on their priority list for the games that they love. And this, it doesn't... Not only does it not do anything new with that stuff, but it doesn't exactly cater to the sort of standardized formats that we're used to. And that's a struggle. And at times it can even feel extremely clunky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what it's like with Rockstar games when it comes to moving a character about. It never feels like other games. It's got that trudgy, heavy walking stuff. And that's evident in here, and if that pisses you off, then this will piss you off, because it's very much at the forefront on how you play this game. So yeah, I get it. There's a lot of people that will openly shout out their negative thoughts about Red Dead, like more so than they would do with other games, because so many other people are enjoying it. And I think the main reason why people are sitting in that camp and not enjoying it is because of those reasons. It's because of their high priority with the actual gameplay controls and stuff like that. It not only does not cater to the norm, the changes that it makes, it doesn't feel beneficial. You know what I mean? It's like it's asking. At times, it asks so much of the player. There are so many options with what you can do with each button that A, it can get confusing, completely jarring, and B, it can fuck up what you're trying to do. There's nothing more frustrating in a game than you trying to do something and the game thinking you're trying to do something else and going with that action. I mean, it happens in FIFA all the time, doesn't it, James? Where you're trying to pass to a player that's 2 foot in front of you, but suddenly the player just passes to like someone completely different.
Yeah, it can happen.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
What they could do,
do,
I know like Spider-Man does this, but have like, I know it's not as elegant, and that's probably the reason why Rockstar haven't done it, but have like a little D-pad on screen that shows, or a control layout that shows you what each of the buttons will do at any given moment. And like, even if you go to settings, there's not even you can't even look at the controls in settings. And
they just feel like overly complicated. Like, honestly, everything feels really like obtuse and overly complicated, and that, I mean, yeah, we'll get. I mean, this is my main.
But that right trigger thing sums it up, right? And that's what you're saying, James. Is that right trigger? You can pull your gun and aim if you tap it, but if you like hold it for just a little bit longer, he'll automatically fire from the hip, and it's kind of like the difference between what you're trying to do with those actions and them being on the same button is ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you either want to aim your pistol or you want to shoot it, but to put that on the same button is a bit of a, like, it's really frustrating. And I'm hoping that through playing this game for a long time, which I intend to do, that stuff will become second nature, and it won't
I'm sure
be an
we'll get
issue
used to it,
after a
and then
while.
it'll make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, it's good that there's the option and so on and so forth, but initially it's a little bit confusing.
Like, did you know, I had to watch a video to find this out, but if you pull out your gun and press up on the D-pad, he points it towards the air, and then you can shoot towards the air to intimidate people.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was in the game, and I don't know if that's told to you later on, but it's there from the start, and it was only because I've watched like one of these, here's 25 things I wish I knew. That was jarring as well. I saw a video, it was like 25 things I wish I knew before I played Red Dead, and I pressed play and it was Tamor speaking. It was like, I can listen to him.
But yeah, personally, I've not had any issues, but clearly anyone can see that, mapping, pull your gun out to not necessarily shoot someone, but also shoot them to the same button is clearly a bad idea.
Yeah,
I mean, as well as that, it just feels incredibly slow. And yes, you can. I've turned like the aim, look, acceleration all the way to top, dead zone to 0. I've increased the sensitivity loads, and it does feel a lot better. But it's still, I mean, one of the early missions says like, okay, you go to this area, and it says like check the room, check the building for things, and I'm like, okay, I'm still. It's still a bit fiddly to like look around and then hold down X or find the thing.
That stuff hasn't bothered me particularly. I've been okay.
This really is what I'm getting to.
It felt like this feels like a GTA, like 2 or 3 GTAs ago.
The inventory management as well is not great. Like it's also confusing. Well, not confusing, but it's cumbersome the way it works. I mean, I only found out also like today that if you hold down, like on PS4, if you like hold down like the options button, it brings up the map like straight away.
Yeah, but that's been in Rockstar games for ages, isn't it?
Has it? I don't remember it being.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a GTA 5 as well. You hold down the start button and it brings up the map without you having to click map in the menu. I mean, you knew that intuitively.
It's just things like that though, which feel irritating. Like on PS4, why can't I just press? Because on that the touchpad is used to change the camera angle, but why can't I just have that as the map? Because that's what it is in everything else. It's much easier. And
right, okay, go on.
I mean, the only other problem that I've got with it is I don't think the UI is very good. And I think, I'm playing it on PS4 Pro, and everything is tiny and really difficult to make out. And that's the other problem I've got with it, is I just find it a bit difficult to see what is going on in terms of like icons and all that kind of thing. And I know some people, I don't know how people are playing this without any UI at all, because that just sounds like a nightmare. If you're trying to work out what you're trying to actually do. But that is something which I've also found irritating. Is I just
again that hasn't bothered me, and this is where I'm going with this. What I'm saying is that I understand if people don't like that intro, and what I'm saying is that I could understand if people hated the game throughout. What I will say is that I adored the first 2 hours of this game, and it was in spite of these issues that we're chatting about now, because I was so invested. Like, what I put when I initially put that stuff in the group chat was that the character, the acting, the voice acting, the character animations, the characters, the writing itself is so good that at times I am completely forgetting that I'm playing a game, and that doesn't mean like, oh, it feels like I'm playing a film. Like, that's not the feeling I'm getting from this. The feeling I'm getting from this is that I'm not dragged away for a moment from these characters interacting with each other. I'm so invested in the conversation and what's happening and the story evolving and these characters just performing in front of me that I am not even... It's so far ahead of other games in that regard that it is just... That has completely blown me away. Completely blown me away. And I put that on the first night of playing it. And since then, and even after it drops the linear stuff and becomes a more open world game, that's just got better. Like, it's just got way better. I mean, you go from watching these characters perform and act and tell this story to reel you in, to you walking past people in the street and them reacting to you in different ways. It feels so incredible that I could turn around and look at a guy walking down the street and hate him, or have a soft spot for someone, or, you know, if I see someone struggling with something, I can walk up to them and greet them. If I can accidentally bump into someone and they start on me, I could go, no, fuck you. You know what I mean? It feels like you are totally part of everything that's going on in this world. And it's such a huge step over other open world games and games that do this sort of stuff that it has blown me away in that regard. Like, I expected a very, very good Rockstar game. I did not expect them to take such a huge step with this. I mean, even with GTA 5, it didn't, like, you felt like you were a character in a playground, as you do with a lot of these sort of open world games. In this, you feel like you're a member of this world. Do you know what I mean? Mm. And obviously you've got, you know, special abilities that people like, and you feel invincible at times because you can just rock up to people and punch them in the face and shoot people, and you can do all that stuff. But you feel so embedded in this world because of everyone, like how they're reacting with each other. Like, there's so much dialogue where people are going about their daily lives in the city. And so I've read an opinion on, I can't remember if it was on Twitter or on a podcast or whatever, where they were saying this is Shenmue, like, for now. You know what I mean? Like, for 2018. And what they mean by that is that with Shenmue, you get a feeling that these people, these characters aren't just walking around aimlessly in the world, but more that they're living their life.
Yeah.
Now, when you go back and judge it by today's standards, you don't get that from Shenmue because it's, you know, we're used to more advanced AI now. But that's what that game was doing at that time.
Yeah, that was the original
intention. This is exactly what this game is doing. You walk through the town of Valentine, and there is so much going on that doesn't feel scripted, feels like characters going about their daily business, and you're just drifting through this world on your own story in a world filled with millions of stories, you know, millions of interactions with these characters. And whether there's a lot of smokescreen stuff there, what they call it, smoke and mirrors there, or it's, you know, really legitimate that this shit is very much sort of, everyone's experience will be different. It depends what time you're there, and, you know, on different things, whatever. It works so well and is so convincing that I've not experienced anything like that in a game before. Like, I've never been so embedded. The closest I think I've come is Mass Effect 2, and even then it was a bit, stilted a bit. You could see the game behind the world a little bit. Here, you can't. Like, I don't know how they've done it, and that is an incredible achievement. Incredible. That side of the game has blown me away completely, and it's changed the way that I thought I would be playing it. I mean, these games I usually go mission, story, mission, let's push forward on the story. Here, I don't do that, and it's intentional that it does it as well, because I've done a bunch of missions, right, where you'll finish the mission and you'll end up in the middle of nowhere, no way to get back home. And I even text you, Sean, I said, this mission here, how do I get back? And Sean was like, I guess you walk. And I was like, okay, I'll walk. But it didn't bother me because I'm part of that world, and I know that I'll come across stuff as I'm walking to that place, and it won't feel like, hey, stranger, can you go and do this for me? Like, don't get me wrong, I like Far Cry 4, but there's a lot of okay, here is the stranger character, and he is going to get me to do a fetch quest, and that will give me money. There's none of that in this. Well, in the brief time that I've played it, the 6 or 7 hours that I've put into it, I've had no feeling of that. When I've approached a member of the public, I don't know what I'm getting out of that interaction, and that is so important. It's so important to create a believable world. I had this wonderful moment last night just before I stopped playing, where I played this incredible mission, which I'll sort of touch on later, but it basically meant that I ended up hungover in the middle of a field, no way of getting back, and so I thought, right, I'm actually quite a distance away from camp and I need to get back to camp. What am I going to do? So the horse is out of range, so I can't get my horse to come over, so I just started walking, and then there was a stagecoach, so I held left trigger and sort of said, whoa, excuse me, mate, can I get a lift? And the guy was like, yeah, go on, jump in. Where are you going? Just take me to town. And then I'm sitting in the cab thinking, okay, there's a couple of other characters in there, and I'm sort of looking out the window and whatever. And then I check my map, and I'm going nowhere near where I need to go. And I thought, hold on, of course, because I've just said take me to town. I don't know. You don't know which town. He's just taking me somewhere. So then I just held Y, and I was like, I'm going to get out here. And then I was in the middle of fucking nowhere. And that's where I stopped playing, because I thought, I can't wait to make that journey back to camp. I can't wait to do that.
Yeah. It's like you've got to enjoy that sort of bullshit, I think, haven't you?
Totally. Otherwise, you will be pissed off.
Yeah.
There's apparently, there is a form of fast travel later on down the line.
Right.
At the moment, I ain't seen any of that.
I haven't seen
any of it.
There are little things where I've discovered that there are shortcuts and little sort of quality of life tweaks that I almost resent. So people have now discovered that if you lose your hat, you can just get it back by going to your horse or going to somewhere where you can change your clothes or whatever. For about 10 hours, I didn't know that was a thing. So I would go into town, get into a fight in the bar, and then
go home to change.
Well, no, I'd start walking out. I don't know where my horse has gone. Fuck it. I'll walk back to camp. Fucking get halfway out of town, and then sort of stop and sort of visualize my guy checking the top of his head and going, "Oh, fucking hell!" Turning back, walking back to town, going all the way back to the bar. There's my hat. Fucking. There we go. Got
doing
my
the
hat
thing
back.
Where he checks his mobile phone and pretends that he's, remembered something, and that he's got. Yeah, we've all done that.
But I really enjoy that sort of shit. Do you know what I mean? To me, that is hilarious having to do that.
Forcing myself to shave.
Yeah.
I hope I still feel the need to do that. While I'm playing this game, I hope that doesn't become irritating, because at the moment, I wouldn't say that I'm enjoying doing it, and that it's brilliant, because it's not. You go up to your shaving thing, you select which bit you want to shave, and then you shave it off, and it's really it's tedious, if anything.
But it's all adding to the sense of place in the world, isn't it?
That's just it, exactly. Yeah, it's all in service of making it seem believable, and the fact that you can. So
far, I'm not hating it.
Yeah, the fact that some days you can just be I could do a mission. could do a side mission, could just go wandering and see what happens, could just go into town, buy some new clothes and have a shave and a wash. And that is, at times, that is equally enjoyable to do.
And it was like that one of the things that I mentioned on my Shenmue stream was that there were times where I wanted to spend a day just dicking about, not doing anything but going up to characters and chatting to them. But of course, it's a really old game, and a lot of the time I was getting repeated dialogue, and I wasn't getting anything out of doing that. Whereas in this, it's like, no, that is totally an option. Yeah. It's totally an option.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it a lot while I've not been playing it. A lot. Yeah. Like, I've been thinking, what am I going to do in that game tonight? And that, it's something we touch on a lot on this podcast, but that is such a huge thing. Yeah. When your brain goes to that place where you're excited to enter the world again and decide what adventures you're going to get on, rather than, I'm going to do that mission tonight. Like, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, I don't think about what I'm going to do. I just put the game back on, and then it's like, and I don't think I've done like the same thing twice in one session. It's like, it just feels like there's so much to do, but not in a Ubisoft tick everything off on the map sort of way. Just feels like genuine freedom rather than like a list of chores.
So Matt, thoughts?
So sadly I've only played about 2 and a bit hours, so I've only really just got out of the linear section. But even like the half an hour I've done where I've started chapter 2 and I can now wander around the place, already I get a really fantastic sense of what this game's about that I hadn't really felt for the first 2 hours. Because obviously the first 2 hours was incredibly scripted, and you basically go from mission to mission. But now it's in the open world. I've already sort of met some random people out in the world and saved some people. I haven't even yet gone into Valentine, the local town. I've just explored near the camp, talked to the people. So I'm way more excited for the game in just playing the last half an hour than I was the initial 2 hours, which I thought were a bit slow. And
I was going to say I could fully understand people not enjoying that opening. I was okay with it. But you don't do a lot, do you? You hold X and follow people.
I guess what the opening 2 hours did do to impress me was absolutely the writing and the characters, and I mean, obviously it's very easy to make sort of connections with films like The Hateful Eight. That's like
loads of that
set in snow, the snowy areas, etc., etc. I've got obviously a ton of Hateful Eight vibes from the opening, and graphically it looks stunning. But I can't wait to see more of it. Just from playing this extra little bit I've done now in the open world. Now it feels like the game's opened up. Now I'm excited to see what the game has in store. But I just haven't had a chance to as of yet. But writing already, I can tell that you can already tell big differences between the characters just in very early dialogue. And
you ain't seen nothing yet. Like I mean, I struggle with characters in games. In terms of remembering who everyone is, names, stuff like that. I've just played that. I've seen a lot of comments about how everyone in your camp has a chance to shine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you will start to grow to love these characters because of what you do with them throughout the game. And I was kind of like, well, yeah, I get that, but is it really? Have you got to be that type that can remember characters' names? And because there's a lot of characters in this, even in your gang or whatever. But already there are ones that are starting to glow a bit. And then, so last night I did a mission. I'm not going to go through it, right? Because I want everyone to experience this themselves. I did a mission with Lenny where we went to the pub. And those that have done it will know exactly what I'm talking about. And that highlighted to me how intelligent Rockstar were or are being with this game, because there are a million moments in that one. First of all, it's completely out of the blue and completely against the tone of the rest of the game that I've played so far. It's just bizarre, right, at times. but more importantly, it's consistently surprising. Because, I mean, we mentioned this a bit on GTA 5, how, there's that mission where it looks like you're following a car and you can't go too close, but then your engine breaks down and then the mission takes a surprising turn and you're like, okay, this is not what I was expecting going into this. Throughout this whole mission, you are going, okay, this is the bit where I do this. And then it just cuts and goes, nope, now this is happening. And you're going, right, okay, so now there's this bit, so now this is going to happen in it. No, that's not what I was expecting at all. And then it just drops into a comedy for a bit, and then comes out. It's like Rockstar saying, we're aware of player expectations, let's try and break them as much as we can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of missions.
That's the feeling I get from this game from the very start. It's kind of like, we're expecting you to go and do this. We're expecting you to go and do that. Let's completely fuck with all expectations that you've gathered from hours and hours of playing other games. And let's ask you to do different things. Let's ask you to shave. Let's ask you to do this. Let's make you expect a fight. Instead, we'll cut to this. Like, it is just brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I played that whole mission with a massive grin on my face.
Yeah, like the number of missions where, obviously it has the typical Rockstar thing of like, has markers on your map and it'll have like a character's initials and that is who the mission is for. But then so many times you'll go and talk to them and then someone else just comes in like, no, fuck that, we're doing this, come on. Like, and it'll just be because someone completely different. Or, as you say, you'll start out a mission thinking you are doing one particular objective, and then just things change, and you end up doing something totally different. But it feels really organic. It's not just like constantly like, actually, you're not doing that at all. It's just situations arise and you respond to them.
That's it. Someone on Rollmuck wrote this story, so I can't verify because it didn't happen in my game, or it hasn't happened in my game, where they spoke to a mission giver and it was, look, we need to hunt these animals, and we need them like within the next day or two. Can you go out and hunt them? So he went off. And he went to go hunting, but then other stuff happened and he got caught up in other business or whatever. And it wasn't a scripted thing. It was like stranger quests and stuff. And he went off and did that stuff. Then he went back to camp and remembered that actually he was supposed to be going hunting. And he found that character again. And the character turned around and went, you took too long. I just went on my own in the end. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, so he lost completing that mission because he got sidetracked. It's taking player expectation and turning it on its head. And that makes this so exciting because, along with not knowing how characters are going to interact with you and not knowing, and feeling very much part of that world, you really don't know what's round the corner. And that puts you in a more human, like it feels way more human. You know what I mean? Your character is not aware of the structure of the game. He is just living out his life the way that you want him to live out that life, and the world's reacting to what you're doing. And it's incredible. It's incredible.
Are any of you playing this with a map off or like turning those assist off? I mean, I'm not.
No,
nah.
They're very clever with that. Apparently, if you turn the map off, you can briefly bring up the map by pressing up on the D-pad. So apparently the various different UIs, how clean you want it, how cluttered you want it, it does actually like go more than just turning off the radar. There's two different types of radar. There's like the detailed one that's on by default. There's also a very simplistic one that sort of just gives you an indication of where you're supposed to go next without actually showing you too much. And as I say, you can turn it off completely and bring it up. You can scale it back so you can see more of the map on your mini radar or less of it. So it's quite clever with that.
And have any of you downloaded or used the companion app?
I haven't. I don't really.
I think I want to.
I've downloaded it, but I haven't actually sort of had it on whilst we've been playing. I haven't got an iPad, but I imagine if I had a tablet, it'd be even better. But
I think the idea of having to look at another screen for like UI stuff just
could be bad.
Yeah,
could be bad. I'm incredibly excited to crack on with this game. you know, we've highlighted certain flaws we've had with it and certain things that we're not so keen on. But ultimately, my overall feeling is that this game is forcing me to play a game the way that I don't usually play them. You know, I am taking my time with everything, and I feel like I'm getting so much more out of that.
Yeah, that's
So
what I'm most
much
excited
more.
about. I, you know, obviously it's November now. You know, tons of games have been out this year. We played tons in the run up to this game. Obviously there are other games like Pokemon and some other games which are coming, but it feels like now I can just relax and just like play this game and enjoy it for what it is. I don't have to rush through it to talk about on a podcast and rush through the story. I can just enjoy this at my own pace, and I'm really excited to just drink it in and lap up the atmosphere and play the game in a relaxed way, not have to rush through it to, you know, get it done. And I can't wait to sort of, you know, to drink it in and enjoy it in that way.
Yeah.
How about you, James? Because I mentioned your early comments, but have you, are you still in that stage of just not really feeling it yet?
No, not at all. Because you see, the thing is, when I said that, I'd only played it for about half an hour or so. I was nowhere in it at all. And I did completely agree with what you said about being sort of drawn in by like the characters and, that side of things. I mean, I found like Matt, I did find the early sections a bit slow going, but not really so much because of the story stuff. But again, that was when the controls were irritating me. And I was just thinking, I felt like that was the barrier that was stopping me from feeling immersed, like in the game world at that point, was the controls were just driving me crazy. But now I've got into like the city, and I've the city into the town and started exploring. I'm enjoying it like significantly more. But like Matt said, you see, I just feel I need to give this game a lot of time. Like, I really want to just give it a lot of time to just sort of, to, like you said, like exist in this world and to enjoy doing those sorts of things of just like, riding about and stuff like that. And like over this weekend, I didn't have time to do that, and I had a bad sort of like weekend of it because it's been half-term weekends, like the kids drive me crazy and all that kind of thing. And like by the time it gets to the evening, I was like just felt tired and just thought I'm not in the right mental space to sort of sit here and immerse myself in this world at the moment. And that's why I just feel like I'm not making any judgment on this at all until I've played like for the rest of this week and like being able to sort of sit there and play it and absorb myself in it, because I completely understand what you mean, like about many aspects of this. I mean, I was playing it a bit yesterday, and I haven't really bothered with doing any of the main story stuff at all. I've just been going off and seeing what sort of side missions there are. And I ended up on ones where it's like it was taking me to completely other sides of the map. And the stuff that's going on, like just incidental stuff, was fantastic. Like just really interesting. Apart from this one point where I was like riding across, and then these guys just jumped out and just shot me dead. Like, and because I couldn't, like, again, controls, I wasn't quick enough to be able to like get my gun out and defend myself. And that was the thing that, like you said, I think if I play this for hours and hours and hours, maybe definitely I will master like the control aspects, eventually, and then I'll feel more confident about it. Because at the moment, I don't feel like confident like walking around the world really, because I don't feel like I'm fully controlling the character in the way that I'm probably supposed to be being. So I just need some more time to sort of adjust to that. But it is. Yeah, I mean, beautiful. Yeah, the usual things that everyone's saying about it, but I need more time to really absorb into it, I think.
I would definitely stand about in the camp for a little bit as well, because I did that the other night, and some of the stuff that was going on was just like wonderful scenes of characters interacting that aren't even scenes, man. They're just it's just happening, like, and you can just listen in and experience like stuff that you like some people won't even see. Like I had a moment where, of course, obviously it's not really a spoiler, John Marston's in the game, which means his son and wife is in the game. Abigail, I think her name is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there was a bit where Abigail lost her son, and she's screaming for him, and he turns up, and she hugs him, and she's talking, like telling him off for running off, and he's like, no, I was just down there, stop worrying about me, I can look after myself, and all that sort of stuff. And just sitting watching that, you know what I mean? It was like... that's not even part of a scene. but it looks like a cutscene. It's mad.
And that is one of the things, like that kind of thing, like what you were saying about how, back like a long time ago, this is kind of what Shenmue was trying to go for. Like this idea of this is like a living world where, people are like living their lives around you. And they seem to be nailing this with this.
Oh,
this,
God, yeah.
And this is where, like, you can't, I would never claim that, like, the Yakuza games are like that because they're not. Like, you play those games, they feel like you're playing video games. Like, they really do.
Yeah.
Whereas this is not like that at all. It really does feel like they've attempted to build, like, a real living world, in the same way that, Yu Suzuki tried. And that's one of the main, like, points of comparison that I think is really different between Shenmue and, like, Yakuza as well, is they're not... It's far too simplistic to just say that there's an evolution of it, because they're not. The Yakuza games are far more sort of focused on being games, like... first of all, whereas this feels a lot more, like the
which
open
is
world.
which is fine. But that's. And the other thing is that it makes such a difference when you're going about your daily business and you're seeing two guys just chatting up against a wall, and you could just walk up to them and say hello, and they can react to you positively or negatively.
On top of that, it's never just hello, is it? It's always like relevant to what they're saying.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like he'll like, you won't just be like, "Hi, what are you talking about?" It's always like, "Oh yeah, I heard such and such a thing," or whatever. Like he chips in with something relevant. It's like that's the main thing for me, is like in terms of the writing and the animation and stuff. Like the cutscenes are great, but they are Rockstar cutscenes. Like that's what you expect. It's how natural it looks when stuff is just happening in the world and you're talking to people and like say you can be in the camp or whatever and someone will just like start talking at you, and it just really gently sort of pulls the camera around, but it's not like canned animations. It's just characters just talking to each other and moving naturally, and like you can still walk around and turn whichever way you want, and like, but everything about his head movements and his gestures and everything all just sort of works, and it's fucking. I don't know how they've done it. It's fucking magic. Like it just. Yeah, and like, sometimes when it's leading
100-hour
you
week,
into...
Sean, this is what it gets you, mate.
What?
This is what it gets you. 100-hour work weeks.
Mate. It paid off. It's fine.
It's all worth it.
It's like the way it's... Yeah, like, so sometimes it will be sort of pulling you into an actual non-interactive cutscene. But even then, the ways in which it just gets you to stand in the right place or whatever feel like they don't feel intrusive. They don't feel like, oh, fucking hell, it's taking control off me. There's never... that sort of jarring sense of like, oh right, so I guess I'm not actually doing anything. It's just it's unreal how they've done it. On the story in general, so no spoilers, but I'm surprised how fascinating I'm finding it. Just because, again, this is not a spoiler. This is what everyone knew. So this is about the gang that John Marston from Red Dead Redemption, the first one, well, not the first one, you know what I mean, used to be in, and Red Dead Redemption is all about him hunting down the last few remaining members of the gang, including Dutch, the leader. And you hear all about how, like, the gang used to be, like, yeah, they were a gang, but primarily their thing was just like, look, we don't want to break the law, we just don't recognise it. Like, we just, like, their whole thing is freedom above all else.
Someone needs killing will kill you.
Yeah. So they're not necessarily bad people, but just in their sort of continued efforts to live like that, of course, they find themselves increasingly at odds with the rest of the world, and basically do end up like Dutch starts losing his fucking mind because he realises he is just becoming a fucking savage. So, by the time of Red Dead Redemption, they all need putting down, and John Marston's like reformed to an extent and what have you. But this game is set before all that, and it's when John's still part of the gang and Dutch hasn't lost his mind yet. Or has he? Like, it's this really subtle thing of, like, he's clearly a decent guy, but occasionally, like, you see the cracks forming.
Yeah,
and
you start hearing stories, don't you? Like, one of the main things is that the gang are starting to gossip about him.
Yeah.
And there's very much this feeling of, hold on, do you trust him or not?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You can't not trust him. He's the gang leader. And, there's a bit of a struggle between people's feelings towards him.
Yeah, totally.
People are starting to gossip.
And obviously there are other gang members that, again, you know, in the last Red Dead Redemption, you had to kill, and they sort of basically, because like Dutch loses his mind and he like takes other people with him, like they just fully go nuts. So like, but obviously in this game they're all your best mates, and you're just hanging around with them, and it's like, oh yeah, John's gonna have to kill half of these one day, and they are going to deserve it. And it's just brilliantly unnerving, because they're like I say, that they're all your pals and you're enjoying spending time with them, but with the knowledge of what they become is just really interesting.
And of course, we haven't touched on this yet, but god damn, is it one of the best looking games
Holy
I've ever played.
Shit! Even on my shitty old regular PS4,
hold on,
mate.
Sean, I don't think you could join in. I mean, this reminds me of Matt. Do you remember when people were talking about Zelda Breath of the Wild? And then the guy would go, oh yeah, I've really been enjoying it. I got it on the Wii U. And you wouldn't really take him seriously. You go, oh, have you? Okay, all right, okay. You go and talk to him. Like, anyway, let's talk about the real. That's kind of what this is like, isn't it, Sean? Come on.
It's like, for me,
PS4.
it's been yet another reminder, like, don't listen to Digital Foundry unless you're really into that stuff, because it basically isn't the verdict is that from worst to best, it's Xbox One, PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox One X. Is that right?
Yeah. They're saying there's a huge jump between the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One.
Yeah, so I mean, right.
It's like I would put James in a camp with you.
Are you
joking? You're playing on PS4 Pro, right?
Are you joking?
Have you seen this?
I didn't want to bring this up, but also, Dave, you're the only one without a proper 4K TV. So you're going on about this, and you haven't even got
4K.
Yeah, but it hasn't got HDR, has it?
Yeah, but you haven't even got like the proper. You're not even playing in 4K. What are you talking about?
Of course I am. I'm playing on the PS4 Pro.
Yeah, which doesn't do native 4K, you dickhead. It does,
and you're not doing HDR, so you're not seeing the whole thing either.
Well, yeah, I'm missing out on HDR. I fully accept that, but
listen,
at least
guys,
I'm playing in 4K.
You've all got lovely big
willies.
willies. You don't have to do this. It's
what
fine.
Are you playing in 1080p? Is it?
Yeah.
I think your
playing it in
resolution
480i, mate. And it's fucking stunning. Like, I've got
it's in 4K on PS4 Pro. It's just that it's checkerboarded. It's not, exactly the same.
It's not native 4K, James. It's not native.
You're not seeing it in native 4K either, David, because you've got a rubbish TV. I'm literally seeing it in native 4K. That's that. Just
that
not
is
in
what
HDR.
My TV can do. Yeah. Just not in HDR, yeah.
I will say the HDR when you're in a town at night is fucking tremendous.
How
really
would you
beautiful.
know? I mean, you're
David
watching it in about 12 frames a second.
I mean, there's the 2
you?
pixels I can make out. It's really nice. One's really bright, one's really dark. It's great. If you've listened to this and you've been put off in any way because you think you've got one of the shit consoles, fuck it, do not worry about it. Like, you will be impressed.
Although, make sure you don't watch the ultimate version, the Xbox One X version, before playing it on your shitty console, as Sean puts it, because you'll just sit there depressed while playing it. Like, Sean, when you tweeted that screenshot and said, oh, people are saying it looks crap on the PS4, look at this. I just imagine you, like, just crying onto your touchpad. Like, oh, just look at how good this looks. I kind of want to tie you up, right? And sit you in front of the Xbox One X version, like in Clockwork Orange, putting drips in your eyes,
open,
and then send you home, and you'd start playing it. It'd be like, Jesus, this is PS2.
No, it's like you can see where corners have been cut. Like, so like you can get your weapons engraved and stuff. Like the detail on them is not fantastic on the regular PS4. Like,
look, listen. Obviously, if you're playing this on the PS4, the original PS4, or even the original Xbox One, I'm fucking around. I'm just joking.
Well, I don't
feel like I genuinely think that.
The original Xbox One version isn't even in 1080p. I mean, it's like 800.
Oh God,
It's like, I mean, is it even HD? It's crazy.
Well, is the PS4 even 4K? That's the question there.
Well, you've got HDR.
It's not in 4K though. It's not native. I don't even know what that really means. It's not native. It was kind of funny though, because when Digital Foundry put up those 4 screenshots, it was kind of like, oh wow, the Xbox One X version does look much better. The PS4 still, the PS4 Pro still looks pretty good though. Yeah, and the PS4, yeah, no, I can see, the jump there, but it still looks pretty. What the fuck is that? It's just like Xbox One next to it. but yeah, I mean, like, you could do that with any game that you just zoom in a ridiculous amount into the distance. But I have been blown away by how good it looks. I mean, it's one of those games that I will get out and show people that aren't into video games and go, just look at that. Although I tried that with Joe. I went, Joe, just look at that. Look at how good it looks. And she was like, yeah, great. She didn't even look at it. It was like when she walks into the room and goes, should I wear this or this? And I'm not even looking. And I just, the first one.
Well, now you say,
Nu's not
great.
really seen. Nu's not seen much of it. She was with me for about 10 minutes, and I was just playing it, and I was just chatting to some guy like by the side of the road. And he just goes, "Oh my god, is your horse shitting?" And
oh yeah, God, I noticed that. There was a bit where like there's a cutscene where, or it was one of those like half cutscenes where you're actually it's all in game. It's not a proper cutscene or whatever. Where our horses went up to the side of the thing, and 2 of them were shitting at the same time. And I was like, that's the first time I've seen a horse shit in a game, and it was just like there right on the screen. It was mad. Yeah, I cannot wait to play more of this. It's a shame because, I hope we've kind of told you something that you haven't heard a million places before. That's what I tried to do with this rant. But I mean, it's a shame we can't go deeper into it because, I mean, it's still like, 6 or 7 hours in, it still feels like I've barely touched it.
Yeah.
Like, really feels like I've barely touched it. I've essentially been to one town. And that,
have you sort of panned around the map a bit to get a feel for how fucking massive it is?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I had a situation when I was on that stagecoach. One of the reasons where I was like, "Oh my god, I've got to get off this and can't just sit on it," was because I was entering an area where I was wanted dead or alive,
right?
And I was like, "Oh shit, okay, that's right. Let's not go there just yet. Yeah. Let's just deal with my local area. I'll go into Valentine a little bit, and then I mean, god damn, what a game so far. I think we're all very excited to get back to it.
Yeah, man.
Definitely. Can we stop?
Probably enough.
Can we stop now? Yeah.
Well, we've got questions and tweets.
Yeah, we ain't got too many. Should be all right.
How long have we been recording for? Not that long.
2 hours.
It's bang on 2 hours.
2 hours,
yeah.
There we go. All right, James.
No, but it's it's the hour, isn't it? It's annoying. I mean, it's like the way that the clocks have changed. It is annoying.
But James, that was like 2 days ago.
I know, but it's like it's 11, but actually it's 12:15.
No, it's actually
no, it's
11.
not, James. You don't get jet lag from daylight savings time.
You do when you get woken up at 4:30 instead of 5:30 by your son every
exactly
morning.
What happened to me yesterday. I'm still alive. You know what I mean? Deal with it.
Whatever.
Suck it up.
Emails.
You're in such a privileged position to be on this podcast. What is the matter with you? Plucks you out of obscurity. Go on.
If you want to send us an email, thecomputergameshow@gmail.com. Nick Hannon has done exactly that. He says, "Hi, experienced Destiny players. I've never played either Destiny or any MMO. I want to get into Destiny 1 or 2 for the enjoyable shooting and grinding. I've no interest in playing with friends or strangers. I just want to solo. Which would you recommend to a newcomer in late 2018?
A different game.
No, Destiny 2, you can play that on your own.
But...
I pretty much just play Destiny 2 on my own.
Oh, man.
Okay. And Destiny 2's got that really brilliant single-player campaign, so, yeah.
Which
a lot of people forget.
It's all right, man. And they're, like all the, they've added so much shit to do now to, like, even when you get to the end game stuff and you're ticking off, like, daily challenges just to get more, like, decent gear, pretty much all of those you can do on your own. There's certain modes, like obviously there's the raid and there's the nightfall strikes and stuff that you do need to partner up with other people, but then they've added the whole guided games thing, which I've used and is okay. You do have to wait quite a while though if you're just on your own and you want 2 people to give you a hand.
Get yourself to a decent level and join the Discord.
Yeah, plenty of people in the Discord playing, they'll probably give you a hand.
Absolutely. Yeah,
unless you really don't want to play with other people, which seems to be the case. But
oh yeah,
but no, it's fucking grand. Like if you want enjoyable shooting and grinding, goodness me, you will be catered for. So yeah,
and I've seen a few people say that actually this new Forsaken expansion is actually it's done more and it's better than the Taken King was at the time. It does sort of make me think. I mean,
it's very good. I mean,
gone too far,
obviously, I mean, Red Dead's sort of torpedoed it now, I think. But I'll quite
for a while. But it's that game, isn't it? That eventually someone will go, "Do you want to just put Destiny back on?" And then that's it. Yeah. That's you for a month.
Yeah, pretty much. Right, okay. Tweets at Computer Game Pod on Twitter. Sean Thomas. Question for the show. Bought Dark Souls this week and I'm experiencing it for the first time and watching bits of Matt's stream, which is pretty handy. Any pointers for us Switch newcomers up to the Capra Demon? So the Capra Demon's an absolute fucker. Or rather, he isn't. It's the room that he's in makes him really difficult. Like, when you mention Capra Demon to like series veterans or whatever, they're like, "Oh, did you know he's actually just a normal enemy later on?" So yeah, but he's not a problem later on because he's in big open areas and he's not actually that hard. It's just that fucking room because he's got such a wide swing on his attacks and it's just a tiny fucking room. And there's those bloody 2 dogs as well. I don't know, general Dark Souls tips. Upgrade your gear rather than leveling up. Generally, I mean, do both, but prioritize leveling up your gear. That's really important. Fuck it, I don't know what else, guys. I can't really, in terms of general. I
mean, check out Dark Calls.
Yeah,
that's still up. I've just checked actually because I know that a lot of JoyPod stuff got taken down recently, but the Dark Calls episodes are still up. So I would listen to our podcast because that was, if you've not heard of it, it was where James was playing Dark Souls for the first time. He wasn't allowed to look at any guides or anything. All he could do is call me, who had completed it a year prior and was going off of memory. And hilarity ensued. But that's worth a listen to play along with it. You know what I mean? Because there are spoilers and stuff. Although you won't, like, spoiling Dark Souls is weird because you won't actually get anything spoiled because you won't fucking understand it until you completed the game. But I would play along with James because that's an option.
Yeah, I mean,
tips though, I don't know, just don't listen to anyone because Dark Souls is one of those games that's incredibly deep, and everyone's got loads of advice on how to play it. However, when they offer that advice, it's based on stuff that they've played for hours and hours. It's not for like beginners.
Yeah.
I mean, the only advice I really got from you guys when I was chatting to you and Andy about it as I was playing through on my first run was where to go. Like that was it. And you will need help with that, definitely. Where to go next. But that's all you need. Don't worry about all what your build should be, what weapons you should be using. You'll get through that. You'll find
and so much
way.
of that is just personal preference anyway. Like, I know people who've quite happily finished the game with weapons that I think are awful, but they're just, Well,
pyromancy, some people swear by it, but I didn't touch that stuff.
Yeah.
That's it. Matt?
Yeah, I mean, Spook Summer Haze.
Yeah.
Oh, God, sorry.
No, I haven't really got any tips because I was mostly useless throughout. But I guess I'll just say, take your time and don't freak out when enemies start killing you because, as everyone says, it's about learning how the enemies react rather than just like going in and getting smashed. And most of 80% of my deaths were when I went in and wasn't really thinking, wasn't really learning what the game was about. But incredible game.
Yeah.
If all else fails, summon on Ornstein and Smo, eh, Matt?
Yeah, classic.
Whatever's needed to get you through it.
Spook Summer Haze, enemy of bears at Buskalilly says, "What would you write on a new 50p coin given the chance?" So is this the new Brexit coin?
This is the horrible, ridiculous.
It's unbelievable what they're doing.
This is the Sun campaign, to get like I mean, they wanted to take back control and they're getting a new 50p. It's
right. Okay. It's just. So what are they suggesting putting on it?
It says something like "Friends to all nations" or something like that.
What?
Which is a
commemorating
joke.
the very act of us turning our backs on our closest neighbours.
It's
Friends
the
to all
irony
nations,
is,
but as long as you don't fucking move it.
It's
the
just
sort of friend that you don't invite over. What would I put on a 50p coin?
We haven't got like a mantra for the show, have we?
Thanks for living it.
Thanks for living it.
Thanks for living it would be good. I would put, you can't even get a Mars bar with this anymore. That's what I'd put on mine.
I mean, it's got to be just something like, we fucked it, or something like that, isn't it? It's just,
sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
This will be worth 20p soon.
Right,
50p
last
20p.
one, Kurt Lewin at @angry_Kurt says, if you had to make the PS1 Mini as unsellable as possible, what games would you put on it?
Good fucking question.
Yeah, now we got another tweet that wasn't an answer to this, but I have to give him credit from Metagalactic Mr. Devlin at Magic Bane. It said the full Net Yarose collection, which I think is a superb answer for this question. So they did like a PlayStation that you could basically develop on, but you could buy it. Like, consumers could buy it. I don't think there were that many of them. Obviously, it didn't sell that well. I think they cost like 700 quid or something.
But also they were black at the time, and
that's right. Yeah,
they looked amazing.
Therefore,
but
cool.
they were like they were, I think that's 600 quid or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
basically, all you could really do is like sort of funny little demos with it. But people did, and I think like occasionally, like your official PlayStation mag or whatever would just come with like a shitload of Yarose demos. And there's some. I seem to remember there was some enjoyable stuff on there.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing.
I've seen a couple of videos where they've talked about some of the good stuff that did come from that, and there were some people that got into like the industry and everything through like making Yarose games. There was some good stuff there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are like the standout joke games of that generation? Because I can't think of any.
Busby 3D.
Busby 3D, yeah, that was one.
It's funny though, isn't it? Like, because there was definitely loads of total dog shit on the PlayStation.
Yeah,
but I just can't remember any of it.
There's all those things like all those like Barbie games and stuff, isn't there? And all that kind of stuff which no one cares about.
Yeah,
it's
Was Pippa Fennell ever on it?
Probably. She's all over the shop.
DS? Did it start on the DS though? That might be before. No, it probably wasn't a PS1 game. Probably wasn't a PS1 game. Sure.
I'm looking it up. You guys carry on.
Yeah, I'm also looking at this, and it's like most of the games are so shit. I mean, like things like Ski Air Mix. I mean, I don't even remember these games, but terrible.
Ski Air Mix.
Terrible.
There must have also wasn't. It was more PS2 when all those. Do you remember Extreme Sports become a huge thing because of Tony Hawk's?
Well,
but I think
I was going to say the
PS2.
bouncer, but then obviously that was also PS2.
That's PS2. Yeah. Sorry,
it's
not
tough
the
to think,
answer
but I would love someone to come back with a list of top 15 worst games ever for PS1. It'd be great.
Yeah,
I'm sure someone hack it and have them on within like a week of launch anyway.
It looks like it started with the DS and PS2. Pippa Fennell.
Yeah, full so. Pippa Fennell.
There is a game called Hooters Road Trip. So,
oh my god,
fuck, that's going on there.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to look
Mortal
at
Kombat Special Forces, which was the brawler, I think. I can't remember. Yeah,
there was a bunch of those. Yeah, that was when they tried to sort of diversify, and it was awful.
So when they do the PS2 classic, then there's going to be a massive list of the worst games.
There was on PlayStation 2. There was Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. That's a good fucking game. That's a brawler. That's actually pretty great.
I do remember that actually.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
But it's not remotely an answer to the question.
I mean, if you guys are really interested in getting one of these PS Classics, by the way.
I'm all right, I think.
Okay, and that's the end of the show this week. We will catch you next week. Matt, have you got anything to say for yourself?
Yeah, so James and I are going to do a Portal stream this Thursday night. We did one last week, and both James and I were pretty stuck on it. Weren't we, James?
Yeah, we got, especially towards the end, it was ridiculous.
Although we did get a couple.
I got angry because people were telling you the fucking solutions. Isn't the whole point?
I couldn't even see that. Were they doing that, Matt? Were they telling us what to do? Because I didn't see any of that.
They were like,
Scientologists-
remember, you can shoot, you can knock the laser turrets over. Like, it's like, no, don't tell him anything.
Anyway,
just watch him struggle.
So we struggled. We did get through a couple, but then Phil Ball actually mentioned. He said, "Just watched the whole thing. Honestly, surprised neither of you twigged that those were the post game levels. Just take the first vid. And you got to room 7 on course 2, but we must have gone to some post game stuff. So
I don't know how.
I don't know either. So,
I mean,
next time we stream us, which could be this Thursday at 9:00 at twitch.tv/the computer game show, we'll find a way to get back to room 8 on course 2. So we're not doing the end game stuff. Because it was pretty frustrating. I still enjoyed it because it's an amazing game and it's always fun to stream with James. But, yeah, it was pretty difficult. Anyway, this Thursday night, Portal 2, we're going to continue it, hopefully on the less hard, less hard rooms. Dave, do you say
I'm surprised you say it's always fun to stream with James, because the amount of times you would say, "Oh, I know what to do. Okay, let's do this," and James would be like, "No. I've got no. Let me think." Like, it just completely fobbed you off.
Yeah, but I still got through some of the early ones.
I've got an idea. No, you haven't. Let me have a little think about
That's
this.
why it works-
Proper
that's why it works
James
so well.
Farley thing.
Dave, you say
I'm a doctor.
you're going to hopefully start Shenmue 2 this week, you reckon?
Yeah, it should happen this week.
Awesome.
It should happen this week. I mean, I'm bang up for it. I'm genuinely looking forward to it. So it'll happen.
Those streams, if you don't watch them live, they'll also be on a YouTube channel. So just search for the Computer Game Show. We're currently trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're like 40 odd, 50 odd behind. So find us on the app or on the website and subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, the podcast is available everywhere. But if you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that would really be nice. So leave us a 5-star review or whatever you want, but leave us a review is the main thing. That's
yes, please. If you've got a YouTube account, please subscribe to our channel, because we just got to get over that threshold and then things can start happening. So
I mean, the way YouTube works, you probably won't even see any of our videos, so don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Just subscribe.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
really important really important for you to find and subscribe.
We'll be hidden under the notifications saying, "Do you want to try the premium?" No. That's it. We're done for the week. We will catch you next week. Thanks for living it. Have a rootin' tootin' time, and also, because this is out on Halloween, a scary one. Ooh.
Stop.
What? James, so you...
Goodbye.
Bye.
That was good.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it was all right. Enjoyed that.
Shattered. Oh,
Yeah,
Matt,
same.
by the way, I'm not going to spoil it for you, right?
Hang on, I'll be back in a minute. Hang on.
Where's he going?
I don't know.
See, what I'm not happy about with tonight is the fact that the hour has made this even later. It's
Sorry.
awful.
I realised yesterday that, like, having a kid means that having the extra hour just means nothing
It's
anymore, does it?
awful.
No,
Sure,
it
it's
doesn't.
even worse because they
Yeah.
get up and they think
Just up
it's
earlier.
5:30. It's
Yeah,
not.
no, yeah.
It's 4:30.
Yeah.
Matt. Fuck's sake, I want to go to bed.
What are you doing?
Matt.
Matt.
The fuck?